the wrong team up.
Correct, because that's
Jim,
life.
That's fine.
Jim, you know what?
I don't think it's good, but it's life.
So you two are happy to support
There is
a flawed system.
There is not one.
But it's a flawed system if you have VAR in it, but not have it for the rest of the
And
tournament.
there is not one football fan out there who cares that it's the most lucrative game in football. All they care about seeing their team win
They do.
and get. No,
they like the money
don't.
that comes with
The
it.
football. No, fans don't care.
This
Fans
is
want to see their team
unbelievable.
promoted. That's all they care about. No fan goes
Why
to
do you
Wembley and
two
think,
not see
"Oh
the
my
logic
goodness,
here?"
think of the money we can make out of this." Of
Yeah.
course they don't.
All right.
People, football
There's
fans,
a winning goal, winning off his fists, but who cares? The
football
goal
fans,
stands.
football fans, generally speaking, Jim, will more than accept honest mistakes.
talkSPORT Sports Update with NordVPN. Encrypt your internet connection and protect your devices from malware and hackers with our most advanced VPN.
With your headlines at coming up to 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We're hearing Man City would let both Omar Marmoush and Savinho go to Spurs for 150 million quid. Former Spurs boss Chris Hughton thinks top six is possible this season for Spurs. He's encouraged by the signings of Tonali and Fernandes.
And probably in a club where in the last couple of seasons, you know, there have been so many injuries. I think what has been important is to bring in players that you think are structurally fit players that can play a lot of games.
Now, with Ezri Konsa expected to complete his move to Arsenal today, they play Coventry in the Premier League's opening game live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. We're told Chelsea's Tosin Adarabioyo and AC Milan's Fikayo Tomori are targets for Aston Villa. Gabby Agbonlahor expects signings.
We only have Lindelof. Konsa goes, we've got Lindelof as our only right side centre-half. Mings is ageing now into his
Injury
30s.
prone.
Exactly. We've got Torres as well, very good defender. So we need a right back, at least one more centre-half.
Curtis Jones is set to join John Stones and Jed Spence at Inter. We're told their £30 million bid has been accepted by Liverpool. Now, ahead of the first championship game at the London Stadium this weekend, West Ham are asking fans to behave themselves. The club say they're aware an offensive and divisive chant containing an anti-Palestine message was sung by some away supporters in Sunday's draw at Burnley. F1 and Max Verstappen signed a new contract at Red Bull till 2030. That ends months of speculation the four-time world champion could leave the team he's been with his whole career, and it doesn't look like we'll get much cricket at Headingley today. The rain's not forecast to clear up till late afternoon. There's more on England's excellent start against Pakistan on talkSPORT's Following On podcast.
talkSPORT News.
Harry and Meghan reverse Megxit. After 6 years they're coming home, and the GCSE gap between boys and girls has narrowed again. Sinead has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Keep summer journeys safe. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com to book your tyres, MOTs and servicing so you can drive away happy every time.
In northern and central parts of England, frequent showers expected, some heavy and thundery. Elsewhere, staying dry but much cooler than the last few weeks.
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. And thanks to TalkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for two to watch the 150th anniversary test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So, on the eve of a new season, is Richard Masters right? Can everyone aspire to win the Premier League, or is that selling a pup? Meanwhile, Sheffield United's new owners lose in the High Court. But should it constitute a 12-point deduction? Also today, being an emotional wreck, is it a good managerial trait? Can Brighton do a Palace? What is a super club? Coventry City owner Doug King will join us live ahead of tomorrow's date with the champions, and from midday we talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
You're full of beans this morning. Some of the time you just walk in, head down, walk straight into this studio, and then you go for it. But you were full of all the joys of the summer by walking up to producer Luke and I. Morning. How you doing, boys? Nice chat with you.
Well,
I'm paraphrasing, incidentally.
I was full of life. I mean, I realise that we're following the toxic whiff of Gabby Abonglahar's drivel on the show before, but I had to be having it first hand outside while he explained to me how he could beat people at paddle tennis. Having seen him play at paddle tennis, he couldn't beat a rug. He's useless.
Really?
And I have to listen to this overweight ex-professional footballer talking to me about his athleticism on a paddle tennis court, and I find it difficult to contend with. It's bad enough having to walk in and understand that he's preceding us, and we have to follow that and try and raise the bar.
Yeah.
And then to have to be confronting with it firsthand is it's dispiriting, Jim.
I know what you should do,
It's
Simon.
demoralising.
But give him a date and a venue and play him at paddle tennis.
I've played him at paddle tennis.
Settle it.
We played him at paddle tennis, don't you remember? I played him at paddle tennis.
Oh, you did? No, I was doubles, wasn't it?
Yes, but that's how you play paddle tennis. You don't play singles. You play singles as a knockabout rather than actually a match. Everything in paddle is doubles.
Oh, right.
I don't feel any necessity. I mean, there is a possibility that you know, boats rise to its highest level or sink to its lowest level, and I don't want to be dragged down onto a horrible pitch like playing against Yeovil, you know, in a game, and find myself levelled off. But this sheer disinterest is motivating me.
I love Gabby. I think this radio station would be a lot worse without Gabby Abongahar, I can tell you that. Here's the thing. Well done, Martin O'Neill. Well done, Celtic. I watched it last night. Champions League qualifier, Simon, round 4, and they go to Austria for the second leg next week against Lask Linz. 3-0 up. And the new boys look great.
Yeah,
I have to say, Danish boy was, well, I mean, they've got to get by it. Remember this time, last year, Kairat, and then it was goodbye, Brendan. They've really got a good chance now of progressing. And the Colombian signing, Camila Duran, age 24, scored 2 of the 3 goals, and they were stunning. So Martin's got something going there. I hope this early, and I hope for him that they can progress in the Champions League. Because Celtic need it. They need it. The fans need it.
Well, I mean, it's an overused expression that I trot out regularly, but if you've managed to set yourself a low standard and achieved it previously, it's not something to be pleased of, is it? I mean, what Brendan achieved last year was really about Brendan Rodgers being disingenuous and destructive and divisive. And he lost to a side that he should never lost to, as part of probably an exit strategy that he had to get out of Celtic, because it had run its course for him. It had been the opportunity. They had given him a second opportunity to come back from the dead of the car crash that he'd left Leicester in, and came back to Celtic as an all-embraced hero, despite the fact he'd left them in the lurch before.
Yeah.
And then he decided to set it on fire because he got the popular vote of turning against the board.
You always go after somebody and you stick to it. I must admit, you've stuck to this line about Brendan Rodgers.
Because I think they're dishonest.
You're sticking to your line about Enzo Maresca.
And disrespectful.
But certain things change your mind.
Of course, because when you get new information and people have evolved, like I've evolved over the years, good and bad, you have to assess the situation as it is, not as it was.
Yeah.
There's nothing to assess Brendan Rodgers on anything differently. When he comes back and behaves differently, I thought that his outbursts, I think football managers are often very disloyal and disrespectful. They forget who they work for, they forget where their loyalty should be, and they play to a gallery. Rafa Benitez did it repeatedly and regularly at Newcastle to Mike Ashley, and the Newcastle fans would have lapped it up because they hated Ashley. But you've got to have a bit of respect, because you'd expect some respect and loyalty from your charges. The players are expected to respect and respond to their manager, because if they don't, they're in terrible trouble.
Yeah.
But yet the managers seem to think they can say what they want. We saw it last year with Nuno Espirito Santo. We saw it again with Enzo Maresca. We saw it in previous incarnations with Marco Silva. And it doesn't serve them very well. And I'm always delighted to see it when they get properly served up.
Yeah, but I like it when somebody does something to change your mind on that. Like Chris Wilder, for example, at Sheffield United.
But that shows that I'm a little bit more formed in my thinking. I'm not a child that's to be entranced in a position. I can criticise people. I can make observations about the boxing fraternity in the same respect, also turn around and say that certain individuals have done remarkable things. Yeah. They can't do that because they're children. And in terms of football managers, if I have formed an opinion based upon something that I've seen, and then that opinion needs to change, I can sit here and be like most people, which is be an ideologue, and go, well, I'm staying with my position because it's what defines me.
Yeah.
Or I can say, you know what, that was wrong and it's different now. Like the Anthony Joshua fight, when I'd looked at it and thought it was a fight that had some questions to be asked and answered about it, I now think that my initial assessment was wrong. I think that the information that I now have, which is listening to the call.
No, I like that in you, and you do that.
And I think that's something people should
do
more.
For example, you were pretty outspoken about Ben Jacobs when he came away with the fact that Trump had got in touch with Infantino regards Balogun. Now, I've touched a nerve on that one, haven't I? And you went early on that.
No, I didn't.
And Ben Jacobs' story was right on that. And it was one of the stories of the World Cup in the USA.
What I did was, because of my consistent exposure to disingenuity in the media, was question the veracity and the efficacy of the information.
Stop trying to fox it with big words.
I think people should be questioned. I think people should be made to stand up. Things.
No, I agree with you.
That was it. That was all.
Yeah, well, that was all, was it? Okay. Shall we
and I don't
on?
like these busy little journalists that run around who don't know very much.
Well done, Ben Jacobs. There it is. We just heard the real reason, don't we? They're too busy and they get up to no good. Good morning, everybody. A lot to get through. It is Thursday. That means the diminutive but very effective Spencer Oliver will be joining us for the final hour. Looking forward to seeing Spencer because we have a lot to talk about, not least this blinking AJ Fury fight that we are pretty darn sure is going to take place in America, right?
Yeah, we'll see, won't we? I mean, look, the bottom line is, as I said yesterday, the fight's happening, and there'll always be something for people to complain about. If they were fighting at Wembley or Cardiff, the ticket prices were what they needed to be able to pay these guys their well-earned money, people would be complaining about ticket prices.
Yeah.
So whatever there is, people will find a method to complain. It should be a British fight in England, because these are two British heavyweights that occupy such huge precedence in the minds of the fight fans. They've been made by their own achievements, but also supported ably by the British public that have wanted to see them.
Yeah.
And the reward for that is they're going to be fighting in America or Saudi. Make of that what you will. Make of that what you will when you hand out peerages.
Later on this morning, we're going to be joined by Matchroom's chief executive, Frank Smith.
Well, that'll be an informed discussion.
You see, well, there you go again. You know, you've gone right. You've gone right. Many people come up to me in the street, Simon, and say, "I love the show and I love your man Jordan because he says what he means what he says." And you called Frank Smith Eddie's T-boy some time ago, but he's a lot more than that. But we've seen Frank Smith in action,
but that was only,
and he's been brilliant.
Yeah, but that was only in direct response to the slurs and insults that they threw in my direction. So ultimately, what you do with these guys is fight fire with fire, and they can't cope with it. But when I say an informed discussion, you naturally lead towards the cynicism. As far as I'm concerned, it could be an informed discussion. You're suggesting that I'm being sarcastic, and that's on you. You want to examine your own motivations.
But it wasn't me who called Eddie's dad Barry decrepit recently, was it?
No, it was me in response to being called a child and a baby and get back in my pram.
Or so you just getting back at him?
I thought it was appropriate to fight fire with fire.
Right.
Sometimes you rise above it. Sometimes when they go low, which is their permanent position, you go high. But in this instance, I thought, well, level it out, have a because he's a little bit upset.
Oh, hello. You better dump that one, Luke. That one's gone. Frank Smith going to be joining us. There's a lot to get through, and we will see if we can take it further regards the venue, which we're pretty darn certain is going to be Madison Square Garden.
It will be
for AJ.
I mean, ultimately, it'll be where it be. The fact is that somehow, one way or another, this fight has arrived. It's arrived when both fighters are past their prime. But if you poll the British boxing public, do they want to see this fight? They do. They're now going to see it. And I actually could probably go to the fight because I'm doing some work with DAZN, but I'm choosing to watch it at home because I like actually watching fights on the television as much as I like being there.
I thought you loved being at fights.
I do.
Big fights.
I do.
That's why you travelled the planet to watch Lennox Lewis.
I do. But I'm more than happy to watch this one in my back garden in Spain.
Oh, I see. Okay. Can Luke and I come?
Luke can be on popcorn detail because I bought a new popcorn machine for my garden. So Luke can run around getting my popcorn for me.
You've got a popcorn machine?
I do.
Oh, God. I can't imagine what is going on there. Popcorn. We have a lot to get through this morning. It all kicks off tomorrow night. Arsenal, Coventry City. Here's a question for you. Can every one of them, every one of those clubs in the Premier League, aim for the Premier League title? Is it open to everyone? We heard what Richard Masters said this week, top man at the Premier League. We'll get into that next. Thursday morning, I think we're going to have fireworks today, and we're live in talkSPORT.
100% Mo's phoned us up,
Oh, here
Liverpool
he is.
fan. Right, Mo?
100% coward. Where you been?
Kenny and Jimmy!
How are you, Mo? Where you been?
Where you
I've
been?
been here. Hey! I've been busy.
Oh, of course you have. Where you been? What you been up to?
It's like you, Jimmy G. Where have you been? You've not been here for a while, and neither has Candy. I mean, Candy's been trying to get his hair like growing, but he's looking quite smart, Candy.
Yeah, it's come back,
Candy.
mate. Back. The hair is back. Everything's...
Candy.
Are you going to be talking
Candy,
guff
right?
this season,
Yeah.
Mo?
What are you doing this season, Mo?
Listen to that. Look, I've been listening to talkSPORT all day, and obviously been hearing the ex-pundits. I mean, what is this about Arsenal going to dominate? What is Martin Keown on? What is going on? They just beat a poor City side yesterday. It was only a friendly. I mean, what's going on? Arsenal are going to dominate. There's only one team who's going to dominate this league, and that is the boys. The best team on the planet, Candy and Jimmy J. The best team on the planet. You saw them playing yesterday. Wow. You know what, Candy? I can't wait to this league to start. And I am telling you, we're going to win the quad, Candy. Quad, Candy.
There it is. There it is.
The quad.
The quad's back out.
Quad back.
Listen, well, come on. Look. Why you got music? Why are you putting laughter track on, right? Look, let's be honest here, right?
Mo, listen,
Candy,
let's talk about your mob,
Candy,
right?
You shut up, yeah?
Let's talk about your mob.
Talk, you shut up. Candy, you shut up. You can't talk.
Mo, what's going on at Liverpool? What's going on, mate? What's happening at your place?
Candy, look. Candy, we're the best team on the planet.
You're not, though, are you, mate?
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary Test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. Thanks to talkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for two to watch the 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Thursday morning, August the 20th. Good morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan, live in talkSPORT. Roselco Builders Warehouse, it's where the trade go. Abbas, good morning to you. You and I were chatting in the street this morning on my way around the corner to London Bridge, and you're delighted about how this man beside me and myself get your day started. So thank you for your words, Abbas. Nice having a chat with you. We're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. Spencer Oliver joins us at 12 noon. A lot to get through. And of course, we had the Premier League launch this week. The Premier League back in action this weekend. All starts Friday night. Arsenal Coventry live on talkSPORT. Now, while Villa and Newcastle have seen their sides dismantled this summer, the team that finished 17th, Spurs, just keep on spending. And on Monday, Simon here talked about the inherent unfairness of the current financial rules that have restricted Newcastle and Villa challenging the elites. This was a man.
can't build a team to challenge in perpetuity and be a top side if you are constantly under. I mean, Villa have done massive deals with UEFA to be able to get themselves in a position where they can continue to observe the compliance that they're being asked to comply with. But Manchester United, and it is absolutely the fault of the Man United and Arsenal, because they dressed up the idea of financial fair play as some governance to retain the sanity of the game, and it's nothing of the sort.
So now it's unfair.
It's pulling up the drawbridge and saying to everybody else, we're in the room now and you can't join us because we've got the turnover, we've got the legacy football clubs that have been in position for many, many years.
Yeah.
And Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City are the last of their kind. We allowed Chelsea and Man City to do this, and we didn't much like that either. So we ain't going to allow you to do it as well, because that means even more challenge.
So what's the point of having Saudi owners?
What's the solution?
If you can't spend money?
Do you think you should get rid of financial fair play?
Absolutely.
And Simon, you got a lot of support for that. Now, despite that, Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters has suggested that the system in place shouldn't prevent clubs from reaching the very top. This was Masters.
I mean, either you take the view that you shouldn't have any financial rules, or you should be able to spend as long as you can show that you can afford it. I think our league would look very different if that was the case. Premier League clubs don't want that. They do want financial regulation. They may all have a slightly different version of the financial rules that they would like for themselves. I mean, Villa have been in Europe 4 times in a row, twice in the Champions League. They won their first trophy for a very long time, and I know they would like to kick on from here, but they've had fantastic success. Newcastle, obviously, a season of change when their players are leaving. They're signing new ones. They've got a new manager. Who knows what's going to happen? That's the excitement of the Premier League. But everyone should be able to aspire within the Premier League, and I think that has been proven over the last 4 to 5 seasons.
Simon, is Masters right? Who knows what's going to happen? Can everyone still aspire to win the Premier League?
Well, how many teams have won the Premier League over its 32-year period? So the argument in and of itself is a ridiculous one. I mean, the only team, I mean, it was proven, the concept of buying the Premier League was proven by Blackburn.
Yeah.
With Jack Walker starting that ball rolling. No, everyone can't win the Premier League.
So is Masters selling as a pup here?
Well, of course he is. Because what the next question should have been was, well, how do you achieve that? When you see that Aston Villa are being governed and sanctioned by UEFA, you see that they have to sell their best players to somehow manage their requirements. We make the argument about football clubs selling their academy players to be able to meet PSR requirements. Yes, of course, an industry should have governance. Governance and over-regulation are 2 different things.
But it just says Villa have made top 4. How many times? 4 times? Twice. And they won a trophy.
Villa are allowed to participate. Absolutely right. But we're not talking about participating. We're talking about winning. They're playing in the European League. They're winning in the European leagues because we've got the highest broadcast deals and the highest turnovers and the best players landing potentially in English football, besides a few that scatter around Spain and Italy, and some in Germany. But the bottom line is that to make the argument that anybody can win the Premier League, well, how do Newcastle get to the level that Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham are at? And don't forget, despite the fact Tottenham have been a dead dog for the last 2 years, they were originally, despite Alan Sugar's protestation that they weren't, they were the original top 5 clubs that formed the Premier League. So this idea that Tottenham, just because they're not achieving anything on the field, aren't one of the big 5 or big 6 clubs as it's now become, because the big 6 has been allowed to become the big 6 because Chelsea and Manchester City were allowed to come to the table and buy their way into a space where they could compete with the football clubs that had already established their position over years and years and years and years and years and years and years. So the argument should be, tell me, besides giving me an example how Aston Villa over a couple of seasons are able to achieve things, because they've got an excellent manager that will eventually be poached by a bigger club than Aston Villa, and they'll go back round in a circle. They'll sell their best players, like Newcastle have been forced to do, like Aston Villa have often been forced to do, to manage their books, to manage their circumstances. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester, they don't have to manage their books, do they? They go out and spend like drunken sailors. Because they've got the turnover, they've got 5 or 6. How do Newcastle or Aston Villa get a £600 million turnover? They might be able to do it in 10 years' time when the turnover of Liverpool, Man United, Manchester City is now 900 million, and on we go.
For the record, we've had 7 different Premier League winners
over 33 years, over 34 years.
But this time,
wow!
But this time, Simon, do you not agree that this is probably the most competitive ever Premier League season on the horizon?
For participation, not for winning. You're going to be one of the 4 clubs that has the biggest turnovers is going to win the league. Aston Villa are not going to win the league. Newcastle are not going to win the league.
So how do you explain Leicester when they did it?
A rare and absolute anomaly that was never allowed to happen again, because all the big clubs sat on their hands, suddenly decided that they could all do things in a certain way, and they got caught with their pants down, even to the way that they allowed Leicester to play. Everybody knew how Leicester played. Drinkwater gets the ball, looks up, knocks it long for Vardy, and yet on the last game of the season they were doing the same thing, and teams were still playing the same way against them. So don't ask me how I explain that situation, but it's not going to be repeated, and it hasn't been repeated since, and that was now a decade ago. So who's won the league since then, and who won the league prior to that?
So tell me straight, how many teams this time around do you feel can aspire to win the Premier League?
2, 3. But that doesn't mean the league's not competitive. The argument, why would you suggest that governance needs to be brought in to the most successful league that has been the commercially most successful league in the history of football? Why are you regulating it? What are you regulating it from? I understand what he's saying is that the Premier League clubs want some degree of control. They want governance. Yeah, they want good disciplines. They want good governance. They want good regulation. Is your regulation with the consequences of the way that clubs are suing one another now, the way that they're suing, the way that Man City have been hauled over the coals and been sat in abeyance for 2 years because you can't prosecute them properly, is that good governance and good regulation? Because to me, it doesn't look like it. You spent 50, 60, 70, 80 million pounds of the other football clubs' money to be able to defend the Premier League against things that are going on from the clubs that are attacking it, like Man City attacking the associated party transaction rules. Is that good governance? Why don't you focus on that? The issue of commerciality, and we're just talking about business here, is that the success of the Premier League was brought about by open market, by market values. Why can't people invest in their football clubs for as long as they choose and then build out an outcome?
A free-for-all.
Well, not so much a free-for-all, but being able to invest.
That's what you're advocating.
Facebook was built for years and years, never turned a profit, and investors kept on pouring money in until eventually it became something of value. Why can't you pour money into a football club to build it into the image as long as you can prove that you can sustain it? Because profit and sustainability, what a complete lack of honesty. What is unsustainable about, whether we like it or not, what is unsustainable about a sovereign wealth fund? How much more sustainable do you want to be?
But wouldn't that also kill competition?
Why?
I mean, you're hoping for a return to the Abramovich era.
No,
almost.
I'm not. I don't think it should be just the Wild West where you can do what you want, but I think you should be able to have dispensation. If you're a club that's got a new set of ownership, why shouldn't you be able to have 5 years of unfettered expenditure to build yourself up to a level to catch those that are already there? Why can't you have 5 years where you're not being regulated by the previous incarnation, the previous management that might have run it in a certain way? You come in, they go, I don't like this football club. I bought it for 500 million quid. I want to turn it into a £5 billion football club. I want to invest in it. I've got the means to do it. You can't. You're governed by PSR. If you're Nottingham Forest and you come up from the Championship and you're only allowed to lose 38 million quid, you land in the Premier League and their rules turn around and say, if you lose too much money based upon what you lost in the Championship, into the Premier League, we're going to sanction you and take points off you. I mean, have you ever heard anything so unjust? And Masters doesn't get asked any particularly leading questions. He's not going to turn around and say to any journalist that asks him, is the league capable of being won by anybody? No, it's a closed shop. The next question would be, well, explain to me then, Richard, how a team which is so far behind the gun in terms of the turnover of the Cities, the Liverpools, the Arsenals of the world are going to ever get to that level where they can compete on a like-for-like.
Well, he'd probably say, well, how about Leicester in 2016?
You're going to give me one example over 34 years and one example in the last decade and one example that's not likely to be repeated because the strong are getting stronger and those that can, the league has got more popular, you've got different set of ownerships, you allowed nation states to come in and now you don't want people to spend. Now you want to close the shop. What a stupid, draconian, one-dimensional way of thinking.
So when he says everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League, you would say, yeah, you're right, but they can't.
Everyone can aspire to go on a date with Margot Robbie, but it doesn't mean they're going to, do they? I mean, it's just a stupid, childish, one-dimensional observation that doesn't get challenged properly. Because if you challenge it properly, if you sat there and said to them, well, okay, walk me back through that then. Tell me how these clubs, these leading lights, are going to build that. You know that Aston Villa have been sanctioned by UEFA. You know that Aston Villa have had to sell players to balance their books. The top clubs do not have to sell their best players to balance their books. When the clubs like Newcastle have a little whiff of talent or opportunity or real outcomes, what comes along? PSR cuts them off at the knees and they have to sell their best players. So you explain to me, in this infinite wisdom that you're imparting, Masters, how that gets achieved. because I don't think it can be achieved.
Okay.
But I'll take it at face value if you can tell me. And they won't tell you because they can't tell you, and no one will ask them, because if they do ask them, they get stopped access.
I get where you're going with Newcastle, and I think many Newcastle fans would say you are absolutely right.
The Europa League is a second-tier European competition, and Aston Villa should be able to go into it and win it. And the European Conference is a second-tier. We're sending teams into these competitions with turnovers 3 or 4 times bigger than the teams that they're competing against. Stick them in the Champions League, see how they get on.
Right. Let's put it out there. We heard Richard Masters saying to Alex Crook the other day, everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League. Maybe that's right, but it'll take some doing. How many teams can aspire to win the Premier League? Fans of clubs outside the top 6, do you believe that? If you're a fan of a club outside the top 6, do you think this season it's on? We can aspire to win this thing. Give us a shout. 03717 223344.
You finished 9th. Yep. You come on talkSPORT and said that Chelsea are going to win the league. Yep. Who's the idiot?
We've got a manager that knows how to win a league.
No. Who's the idiot?
Won the Bundesliga.
I don't care. Who's the idiot?
What's the Spursy one? What's the Spursy ever won?
They finished 10th. Sorry.
10th.
Correction.
I know.
You finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
No, you finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
All right? And you come on talkSPORT and said that you're going to win the league.
You'll take our...
I don't think I'm an idiot in saying that Spurs can finish in the top 4 if we sign for Savinho.
Okay. You'll take our place.
So,
Roberto De Spursy.
There's only one mug here, and it's you.
Roberto De Spursy, he'll take 10th, mate. That's a good season for you lot. Mate, you'll take that. Jay.
Don't
100%.
Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me. Right? Don't Jay me.
Jay, 100% you take 10th. I'll give you 10th now. With 10 games to go 10th. So you've not got to sweat like you did last season. Sweating over the last couple of games. Are we going to go down? Oh, no. We go, oh, no, we're going to go down.
Mate, you finished 10th.
Yeah, I know we did.
You literally finished 10th.
But we've got a manager that knows how to win.
That's almost like you spent £1 billion on a football team.
Yeah,
and finished 10th.
Another billion.
Right, who's more embarrassing?
And we're going to win it.
Who's more embarrassing?
Do you know what we should do? We should go for Savinho and Mamouche. Then we'll definitely win it. Put that in the Todd.
Keep.
Don't start getting.
No.
Don't.
I really want to swear at you, but I'm not going to. Right?
Don't, Jay. Take. I'll give you. Okay, here we go. 10th. Yes or no? Yes or no? Jay. Yes or no? Take 10th. He's going to take 10th. He's walking there. You got to take 10th.
talkSPORT News.
Good morning. With your headlines, I'm Sinead Garvan. 6 years after Megxit, Harry and Meghan are coming back to live in the UK. There are question marks over why now and their security, but the pair will not be back as working royals and will fund their life through their own money. Ian Owens is a royal historian.
Clearly, there is an opportunity for Harry in terms of the philanthropic sector, the charity sector back in the United Kingdom. And maybe his visit during the summer sort of opened his eyes to that fact and that there was this future potentially in the United Kingdom for him.
Asylum seekers are being given a leaflet explaining how they're expected to behave when they get here. It includes information on gender equality and how rape is a serious crime. Green Party peer Jenny Jones says it's a bizarre thing to do.
If they think it's necessary, that's fine. But could they widen the advice to all the various institutions that we have?
Girls continue to outperform boys at GCSE, but the gap is narrowing. Students are getting results this morning. Data suggests the amount of top grades has risen from last year, but the rate of average passes has returned to pre-COVID levels.
talkSPORT Sports Headlines with Bostic.
For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Wolves sign Jordan James on loan from Leicester, and no cricket's expected at a very wet Headingley till at least mid-afternoon. Nick has more at 11.
Thursday morning, Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. We're also live on YouTube. Wherever you want to watch this show, you can watch it live. Even Prime Video, we're live on that as well. We are talking about the available finance to the top Premier League clubs, to all the Premier League clubs. And we're talking about what the top man at the Premier League, Richard Masters, said to Alex Crook this week on financial rules. Everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League. Simon, you've been saying the big six, the elite, if you like, can spend whatever they like. It's those below, like Newcastle and others, Aston Villa and others, cannot fall into that category. There's Adam, though, Simon. Good morning, guys. Arsenal absolutely did have to sell their best players for 10 years to try and balance their books. It's taken 20 years for them to build a club capable of competing with City. So, should we just let Villa do it without effort, without a commercial backing?
Yeah, but with respect to that, Arsenal chose that pathway. They chose. It was a decision that I don't think David Dean particularly agreed with. They chose to build a stadium and decided to pay off the stadium rather than invest in the playing squad. They were still considered to be one of the top side that was expected to qualify in Europe and challenge for the league, and only fell away at the back end of Wenger's tenure because he'd probably run his course. But that was a pathway that they chose. Their shareholders chose that pathway.
But they had to do that. Did they have a choice?
No.
This was around the Abramovich era.
They chose to do that. They weren't governed by it. They weren't restricted for it. They weren't told they had to do it. They made a commercial decision that they were not going to make more money available to invest in the team. They were going to pay down the debt on the stadium. But that wasn't enforced upon them. That wasn't told by governance and by regulation that you have to do that. So whilst I understand the genesis of the argument, and I don't think it's not germane in its thinking, but it isn't correct because it's not been enforced upon Arsenal. That was their own decision. And if other clubs decide not to invest in their football team, that should be their decision too. But what about the ones that do want to invest in their team?
Yeah.
Do want to build something that has capital value at the end of it? Do recognise the fact that the more you win things, the more valuable the football club is. So if you go spend £1 billion to get a football club that's worth £3 billion, that's good commercial sense. But you're not allowed to do that, because if you do that, you'll breach PSR, you'll be sanctioned, you'll have points taken away from you, and your achievements will be unable to be validated or built upon. Because look at why are Newcastle and Villa, they've reached their ceilings, and they're bloody good ceilings, but they're not consistent, and Villa won't be winning the league anytime soon. And they might have a manager that's capable of it.
And probably nor will Newcastle. So while Villa and Newcastle have seen their sides dismantled this summer, and that's pretty much what has happened, the team that finished 17th, Spurs, keep on spending. Tottenham, right now, are working on a £140 million deal for the double signing of Savinho and Omar Marmoush from Manchester City. And of course, already they've spent, Simon, £230 million this summer on Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, Jan-Paul van Hecke, Marcus Senesi, Andy Robertson arriving on frees. So Tottenham are in amongst it. And then we get back to what Richard Masters has said on financial rules. Everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League. How many teams can aspire to win the Premier League then? Let's get into this. 03717 223344. Dave, Newcastle fan, good morning to you. What have you seen happen to your club, Dave? And can your club, Newcastle United, aspire to win the Premier League?
Well, nowhere near. Nowhere near. I blame one man only, and that is Masters, right? Where else do you have a restriction of trade, right, within our life? This is a complete restriction of trade, right? This guy is in the pocket of the top six, right? Top 6, top 7, whatever you want to call it. Us and Villa, I mean, I've got no love lost for Villa, but it's absolutely shocking what's happening to them, right? I know that Tottenham can gather concerts, and I think they've got a 60 or 70,000 capacity. So match day receipts, as along with Arsenal, is fantastic. That goes a long way, you know. But we're never going to challenge. We've had to sell players. You know, the heart's been ripped out of our team, absolute heart.
So you go with everything that Simon's saying, Dave?
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And look, I'm not saying we can spend. There's got to be, and I wouldn't say restriction. There's got to be some sort of governance. But you know, you've got to move on to this 115 challenge, 115 things against Man City.
Yeah.
Right. 2024. Right. Masters should not be in the job. Right. This guy has now done a negotiation with Chelsea. Now, that's very strange, isn't it, that this negotiation with Chelsea comes along, right, and they've just been fined. Money means nothing, right? So you're going to get this 115 challenge. Is that going to be brushed under the carpet now? And they'll say, oh, there's a £100 million fine, Man City.
So
get out the owner's back pocket.
In the current
you know
financial climate, Dave, what chance do you give your club, Newcastle United, of winning the Premier League title?
Nil, zero, nothing. Right, this new guy's come in, brilliant guy. This new manager, you know, I think will give some people a bit of a fright this season because they've got young bucks, young kids that are, you know, willing to play. I mean, there's a young kid in midfield there, young Steyer, 18-year-old, just wants the ball all the time. Superb footballer. He'll go for 120 million in 2 years' time. Then that's what we have to do. We are a quarter or a third of the likes of Man U. Liverpool, Arsenal, their turnover. We have had the biggest turnover of any Premier League team, increase in turnover over the last 2 or 3 years. But we're nowhere near. When Man U can spend hundreds of millions of pounds, right, and be £1 billion in debt, come on, where's the level playing field there? And I blame Masters.
Dave, thanks 100%. For the call. Dave's letting loose a fair bit on Richard Masters there, but Masters would deny, Simon, obviously, that he's in the pocket, unquote, of the top 6.
Of course he would. I mean, that language has to be guarded against. But if you answer the question, if Newcastle were invested in by Saudi Arabians in 2004 or in 2008, when Man City were, where do you think they'd be now?
Yeah, they could well have been a Premier League winner by now.
So really and truly what they are is they're victims of timing. So the last clubs that were able to achieve an ability to be able to do as they wished were Man City and Chelsea, two of the most successful clubs in the history of English football, and certainly in the Premier League era.
Yeah.
Not coincidence, is it?
But is it unfair just to go after Masters, as some fans?
I'm not going after Masters. I'm going after what Masters has said.
Some of the fans have done.
Well, that's up to them. I can't speak for them. But Masters is the figurehead for the business. He is the chief executive, or whatever role he occupies within the confines of the Premier League. The chairman, I think, is chief executive really in his functionality. He has presided over these circumstances, and he defends them. And he hides behind the veneer of the clubs wanting guidance and governance. Of course, they want guidance and governance.
Yeah.
But the ownership models of football clubs want also to be able to invest in their businesses and not be told how to do it.
Okay.
And they're being told how to do it. And what we're doing is we're saying, and this is the argument that I cannot fathom, what are we doing to the most successful league? What is it that we need to do? What, because a few clubs down the pyramid have suffered with the governance and the challenges and issues around their existential opportunities. But which Premier League football clubs are we talking about that we need protecting? What, because Portsmouth made a Horlicks a few years ago. What is it that what have we fixed? What have we fixed in English football by restricting the investment capabilities? We made it a success by opening it up. We globalized it. We made it this unprecedented success. And all of a sudden we're saying, we don't like the success. We want to do something different. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And that's something different you think would benefit everybody. It would be a free-for-all, no rules.
Well, you used the term free-for-all. I didn't say without rules. That's you that said that. What I said was there needs to be some governance and some commercial thinking. No other industry gets controlled this way. Industries get regulated, and the more industries are regulated, the less successful these industries are and more challenged they are. Look at the regulation that looks across our utilities industry. What a car crash that is. So the regulation side of things is a complete and utter misrepresented argument.
But you also said like virtually no rules for new owners for 5 years.
No, what I said was, how about if you don't believe that people should be able to invest in perpetuity and skew the market and make it difficult for everybody else, then maybe an alternative is when you buy a new business, and that doesn't mean you can pack it and keep selling it back and forward to yourself so you keep getting a new starting gun, but maybe when you buy a business, you get an unfettered opportunity for 5 years to invest in it to be able to bridge that gap between those that have and those that haven't.
Got you.
That might be an alternate solution.
This will be interesting. James, big Manchester United fan. James, good morning. How many teams can your club right now aspire to win the Premier League title, James?
Hi guys, how are you? You okay?
Good, thank you, mate. Good morning.
Simon, I love you, and genuinely, I think you talk so much sense, even though you come after our players sometimes. It's fine, we can let that go. But honestly, I think let's go back 2-3 years ago where you were screaming for PSR and, in terms of governance and wanting it, and you got it wrong. So I think this whole attack on the CEO of obviously the Premier League is unfair because he did the same thing and fail fast or win fast, however you say it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's failed. Right, so you did the same. So if you were in charge of Premier League, you'd have done exactly what he did, and would be in this mess.
First of all, can I just refute that, because I wasn't all in favour of PSR. I wasn't all in favour of PSR, so I don't know why you're saying that. But go on.
You were, but you did say that.
I wasn't.
And you did get it wrong. But this idea of the Facebook losing money, I've been in investment businesses and so on and so forth. It's for the birds, because you're always going to have someone richer than you in terms of, imagine Jeff Bezos, right, taking over Liverpool, 200 billion, got more money than God.
Yep.
Villa would still be in the same position of losing their best players, because no matter what you offered Morgan Rogers, Bezos and his clan would go in and offer more.
But Man City in that position.
You would still have.
But Man City in that position. But Man City in that position where they lose their best players then.
But Man City haven't lost their best players. Man City are able to pay them what they want.
Because Man City were allowed to invest in their team.
Correct. You're still going to have the same pyramid and the same problems you've got now, because you're still going to have.
If Aston Villa were allowed to invest the way Man City would be, there'd be a destination. There wouldn't be a waypoint. And going back to your original point, 10 years ago, I was in the camp, having been a former owner, that believing financial fair play, as it was at that time, was going to be a mechanism to be able to depress transfer fees and depress wages. It hasn't done that. So the only support that I ever gave FFP, as it was believing foolishly that it would achieve that. I quickly reversed out of that, and what I have said repeatedly is there needs to be some form of governance. But to govern and regulate out investment is a very poor set of governance.
Understood, but Chelsea did it. Chelsea did it 20 years ago.
They did, yeah.
Abramovich came in and overwhelmed United, right? They came in and said, we want Iron Robin. Iron Robin was in the building. Michelobby was in the building. Hazard was in the building.
But is the league better for it, James? Is the league better for Chelsea? Because before that, you had Man United and Arsenal, and that's all it was, with a brief interjection from Blackburn, who started the ball rolling about financial injection buying leagues. Is the league better for the global investment that transported Chelsea and Manchester City into the space where the monopoly or the duopoly that Arsenal and Man United were trying to have over English football was then broken up?
I completely agree. On what I'm not saying is this governance, but you can't sit on a radio station and say this without any thought process behind it, because you haven't given it much thought, because you'd still have the same issue of if all the investors came in and said, right, we will buy all these Premier League teams, there's always going to be one richer than the other. So you're still going to have the same issues of a pyramid, right? In terms of you're still going to have Bournemouth owners who are billionaires, by the way, being made to look like pups because they
James, I'm going to have to jump in because we've got to hit a break, but we'll take your points on board and we'll address them when we get back the other side of this. Should everyone be able to aspire to win the Premier League? That's what Richard Masters says. Would that include Coventry City? Their owner, Doug King, will join us. May as well get to it. Arsenal in advanced talks to sign Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa. Apparently Konsa has agreed personal terms, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's been the case for a while. When you looked at Arsenal's list of defensive targets, I think Ezri Konsa has always been very much number one priority. Obviously going to be disappointing for Aston Villa to lose another of their key men from last season. Morgan Rogers having been sold to Chelsea, Yuri Tillemans to Manchester United, and Luca Digne to PSG. So it has been a bit of a fire sale at Villa Park this summer. Emi Martinez could be on his way out as well, although that move to Juventus broke down. I'm intrigued to see what the final fee will be, because I think Arsenal's initial offer was well short of the 60 million that Villa were initially holding out for. So intrigued to see how close Arsenal get to that fee. But you can understand the reason that Arsenal are going for Ezri Konsa. He's got that versatility. He can play at right back if needed. He can play at centre back alongside Gabriel while William Saliba is out injured. And I think he might miss quite a chunk of the season with that back injury suffered at the World Cup. And he's someone who's Premier League ready, much like Bruno Guimaraes. He won't need a bedding in period. So I think this is another really positive move for the champions. I make Arsenal big favourites to retain that title.
And so do you, Danny. Although it pains you to say it, so do you. You think, yeah, with the way it's looking, Arsenal to retain it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mixture of reasons. Obviously, the quality they've got, but the confidence that win will give them, and just the stability of the same manager, the same core of players. They've not lost any of their best players, and they're just adding more quality.
We're on the eve of a new Premier League season. All gets underway tomorrow night. Arsenal against Coventry. Coventry, the new boys, of course, and it's live on talkSPORT. Coventry's first top-flight fixture in 25 years, and they're away to the champions. Coventry City owner Doug King joins us live in the show. Doug, always good to speak to you. Away at the champions, the best or the worst start that you might have hoped for?
Definitely a memorable one is where I'm kicking that one. Look, we're excited. It's the first game of the new season, first time we've been there for 25 years. So I think the excitement's building. We've a lot to do this summer. We've been really busy, but I'm finally sort of getting into it, and it'll all probably kick in tomorrow as we head down there.
Doug, Simon and I were throwing it around a moment ago, this quote from Richard Masters of the Premier League: everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League. Is he right, or is it not really, more accurately, a closed shop?
Well, you can aspire, but yeah, I think the latter part of your question there is probably where it is. It's a closed shop. I mean, it's a squad cost ratio. You got 800 million revenues versus 200 million revenues. You can do the maths. It's going to be incredibly difficult. So you have to find every advantage you can to sort of be competitive. And obviously our goal as we head up there is to try and build momentum. We need to be in a position to stay in the league if we can, and then build those revenues towards, we're never going to get to those sort of numbers, but, build them towards some meaningful revenue so we can be competitive.
First of all, I want to congratulate you, Doug, because I think you've done a brilliant job at Coventry. I mean, ever since you've walked through the door, I criticise a lot, but I think you should give praise where it's due, because there's no coincidence. The shape and feel of that club has changed ever since you walked through the door, and I think most of the plaudits should go in your direction, because there's plenty of clubs in your division that have got plenty of money. Bristol City being case in point with Steve Lansdown owning, that would aspire to achieve the things that you've achieved. So you've done a remarkable job, and you should get a lot of credit for that. What is it that you think that you were able to achieve in Coventry, that being able to get them to a situation where you got them into the cup semi-final, which you were robbed of, you got into playoffs, and now you've got promoted and won the league, and now you're in a position where the Premier League is where you want to stay. You know you want to stay there. I did the same thing in 4 years at Palace, so I knew what drove it there. It was me. You've driven it there. What is it about? What did you do at Coventry to change the direction of travel to get this outcome?
They're kind words, Simon. I really appreciate them. You never know how it's going to go, do you? I think you just do things properly, and you begin, and you get your culture how you want it. You get transparency, you get clarity. You obviously have to finance and build infrastructure and invest money, because after a long period where nothing has gone on, there's a huge amount to do. But you can't do it all at once. So you build little bit by little bit, and gradually you start getting it motoring, and people start to see the changes, and they start to feel the belief. And you've got to have that togetherness where people enjoy coming to work. They know what's expected of them. And we know, obviously, recruitment is huge in building our ability to develop players, buy them well, develop them, maybe have to sell them on if we're unsuccessful, so that we can cover operating losses that we know are large in the Championship. So I think it's little bit by little bit. And then obviously it's gradually morphed into that great year last year. And here we go again on another epic sort of mountain ascent. But we're excited. I had a chat with Dean and Frank yesterday. We had a little moment before it all kicked off. And I'm really excited with their clarity, with their focus, how excited they are, how driven they are, how on it they are. So I'm really feeling good about where we are. What will happen, but I'm happy with where we are.
Do you think, I know that going into the Premier League with all the optimism of the first game of the season, and it becomes more of a slog as it goes on, because it'll be difficult. I remember speaking to Mark Ashton last year at Ipswich with the same sort of aspirations. Do you see staying in the Premier League in the first season as a seminal moment for the opportunity to keep building Coventry forward? Do you really have to stay in there, or is it a case of you're going to have a bloody good go, you're going to balance it, you're carrying up losses from the Championship, which are going to prejudice you in the Premier League, because you're only allowed to have a certain amount of losses from the Championship in the Premier League? But is it seminal for you staying in the Premier League, or can you absorb going down and rebuilding again?
Look, it's taken us 25 years to get out. I really don't fancy going back. But to be fair, we know that, it's likely, or it's possible. 7 out of 9 have gone back down. But the plan that we had this summer was to bring in quality that made a difference to our team. And I think we've done that, in our opinion. So we've given it the best shot that we can, and we've obviously invested a lot of money. And obviously, if it doesn't work out, then obviously some of our great players will probably want to be heading off into other top leagues or Premier League. So I understand that. I don't really want to stop the momentum. So I'm trying to sort of keep going on that, and that's why it was a really important summer. Why I'm looking so weary, and hopefully we'll show what we can do.
Doug, we wish you well in the Premier League, and you've just come there from the Championship. There's been a lot of debate this week, Doug, about VAR and the Championship, only having it in the Championship playoff final and not in the Championship season proper. Do you think the Championship should have VAR?
Yes. There it is. Of course it should. It's a top league, one of the top leagues in the world, and you're playing and officiating it with, 100-year technology, a couple of linesmen and the referee, and it's hugely important. Look, I know everybody goes, oh, it spoils the game. I don't believe it does. I want fairness, accuracy, and semi-automated offside or a challenge. The handball I saw at the weekend at Norwich. You can't be having that at this level. It's ridiculous.
I think the EFL believe it makes it more authentic not having it, Doug.
I know they do, but I disagree with them. I think that they need to move forward, and they need to make the product as good a product as they possibly can. And I think, you need to have it in there. It costs a bit of money. And the issue think from the EFL viewpoint is that they know that the Championship clubs are under the cosh, And if they need to invest, a few $100,000 on VAR, they don't really want to put it to them. But I think we need to think bigger than that. And I've always been a big fan that you need it.
Doug, you said it's going to be it's been a busy summer and it's not over yet. Any more business before the window closes? What can you tell Coventry fans?
Couldn't possibly comment.
Come on, Doug. Come on. You know us.
No, listen, we've been busy, obviously, this weekend. A couple of great new recruits coming in at the top end of the pitch. Listen, I'll tell you what's been really, really good for us. We've changed this club into a club that people will actually want to come and play for us. They feel it, they like the stadium, they like the setup, they like their head coach, and he's been fantastic, by the way. He's really great in our recruitment process and making sure we sell the situation. So, I'm really happy with the way we've gone this summer. And if there's a couple of extras stragglers that come in late, then that'll be for everybody to look out for.
Doug, we like it when you join us on this show because in good times and bad, you don't differentiate, you still do it. And we wish you well this season.
Appreciate that, Jim. Thanks, Simon.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Doug King, the owner of Coventry City, with us live. Sammy, we might pick over the bones of that very shortly. 11 o'clock this Thursday morning.
And 2 weeks today, the transfer window closes. Would you anticipate much more business in terms of incomings between now and then?
Well, you can see the league, how unpredictable the league is and the amount of things that can happen on a day. So it's better not to talk too much, be prepared, be open, and hopefully we can wrap up the transfer window in a really positive way.
You were speaking before the Community Shield. You were asked about your long-term future and contract negotiations, and you said there's nothing to worry about, Arsenal fans. Do you see yourself as somebody who can do what the likes of Guardiola and Wenger and Ferguson did and stay at the club for many years and build a dynasty?
I want to do what I'm capable of doing and what is the best for the club. And I feel very, very happy and grateful to be sitting where I am with the people that I work with every single day. And my ambition is to continue this way.
Was it strange at Cardiff on Sunday that you weren't facing Pep Guardiola in the dugout, given that rivalry that's developed and obviously your relationship with him?
It was different. Obviously, I know Enzo really well, but obviously the relationship that I built with Pep when we worked with each other, and then, the amount of headaches and sweats that he has provided to me over the last 6-7 years to try to catch up to the level and the standards that they set in the league has been an absolute inspiration. I think he's left a benchmark and a mark in this league that it will be history forever, and he made us, I think, all of us better.
Have you had many conversations with him since the end of the season, since you were crowned champions?
I had, and I have due to have an important as well in the next few days, and I'm looking forward to it.
talkSPORT Sports Update with NordVPN. 24/7 digital privacy and protection in one easy-to-use app.
With your headlines, it's just coming up to 4 minutes past 11. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. On the eve of the new Premier League season, we're told these are worrying times for Aston Villa, with Ezri Konsa set to complete his move to Arsenal today, following Morgan Rogers, Yuri Tielemans and possibly Ollie Watkins out the door. Villa legend Gabi Agbonlahor wouldn't begrudge Watkins a move to Saudi.
If Watkins is probably looking at it and saying,
I've done everything I can at Aston Villa. I played Champions League football. I've won a trophy. I'm into my 30s now. If I wait another couple of years, has that move gone?
Yeah.
I can understand why he wants to do it, to just say, you know what, let's go and get paid.
So can anyone stop Arsenal? Ben Foster says their defence is miles ahead of Man United's. He thinks the club should have gone after Conte.
Whether he would have gone there in the first instance, I don't know, but somebody like that would have been an absolute guarantee for Manchester United. He gave you. I love Conte. I really do. I think he's probably England's best centre back. I really do.
Meanwhile, former Spurs boss Chris Hughton thinks Spurs can finish in the top 6 this season, but urges caution.
This is a team and a club still that in the last couple of seasons finished in 17th place, and still some of those injuries, the likes of your Solankis and your Kuduses and Madisons, are still probably not 100%.
Meanwhile, Leeds defender Jayden Bogle signed a new contract there till 2030, and it looks like Curtis Jones will join fellow Englishmen John Stones and Jed Spence at Inter. And West Ham say the club is aware of a chant with an anti-Palestine message was sung in the away end at Turf Moor on Sunday, ahead of the London Stadium's first championship game. That's West Ham versus Charlton, live on talkSPORT 2 this Saturday. West Ham are reminding fans not to create division in the stands. More on this at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Harry and Meghan are giving the UK another chance. They're moving back this month, and asylum seekers arriving here will be given a guidebook on how to behave. Sinead has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
In northern and central parts of England, frequent showers expected, some heavy and thundery over the test match at Headingley. Looks like it's going to rain till mid-afternoon there. Elsewhere staying dry, but much cooler than the last few weeks.
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock this Thursday morning, Thursday, August the 20th. And it's Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT. We're on the eve of a new Premier League season, and we eagerly look forward to it. Who's going to come out on top this time around? Will Arsenal do the same as they did last season and go on and win the thing, retain the title? Very difficult thing to do, but many think Arsenal are more than capable of that. Certainly in the last few moments, a new Premier League owner, Doug King, Coventry City, was live with Simon and myself. And amongst other things, we put it to Doug about Richard Masters' comments that everyone should be able to aspire to win the Premier League. But I put it to Doug, was that possible necessarily amongst the financial rules that exist in the current climate? Was that possible?
Well, you can aspire, but yeah, I think the latter part of your question there is probably where it is. It's a closed shop. I mean, it's a squad cost ratio. You got 800 million revenues versus 200 million revenues. You can do the maths. It's going to be incredibly difficult. So you have to find every advantage you can to sort of be competitive. And obviously our goal as we head up there is to try and build momentum. We need to be in a position to stay in the league if we can, and then build those revenues towards, we're never going to get to those sort of numbers, but, build them towards some meaningful revenues so we can be competitive.
Doug King joining us live just moments ago on this show. Simon, Coventry, like everybody else, will do the talking on the pitch.
Yeah.
But does it help that they've got such a pragmatic, forward-thinking owner as Doug King? Does it help that in the background he's there?
Of course it does. I mean, listen, he has dragged Coventry from getting themselves together to now being a formidable football club that's landed back in the Premier League in the same way that Marinakis did it at Nottingham Forest. And you cannot ignore it. You can look at all the different facets.
types of guys.
They may well be, but they both had a very significant ambition to do things properly. It might not be to the like of the football fraternity who get upset, and Martin O'Neill got upset because he got binned off by Marinakis and whatever else. But the object of the aim is to build a successful football club, and if you have to let some blood out to do it, and people get their noses put out of joint, too bad. Doug King is the reasons why Coventry in the Premier League, because he made the appointments, he constructed the football club in an image of how he wanted it to run properly. He did the due diligence in the same way that Tony Bloom is the reasons why Brighton are successful, and to some extent, much as it might burn my backside, Parish and his group are the reasons why Palace is successful, because they made the decisions, and they've made the decisions that put the football club into a position where they can operate, and Glasner can be made a hero, and Frank Lampard can be made a hero, but they are afforded that luxury, enabled and facilitated by the guys that control the football clubs and run it. Now, people will say you naturally think that, Simon, because you're a former owner. What I like about Doug was the fact he was prepared to answer a question, because I can tell you they won't like that answer to the Premier League. They didn't like me when I landed in the Premier League. I got a phone call from the communications director, Philip French, telling me that Richard Scudamore wanted to have a word with me about my conduct. Before I'd even landed in the league, I told him to poke it up his backside. But the fact is that Doug answered the question about what he thinks.
Why should I not be surprised at that?
So with that in mind, I think that he, like Tony Bloom, these guys are very capable operators. And sometimes it's very difficult to take the disciplines of the world and drop it into the football world, because the football world is not commercial often in its thinking. It's driven by emotion and driven by opinions. But there is a standard, and it's been proved that football clubs like Brentford, like Bournemouth, like Brighton, if it's run properly and run with disciplines and run with detail and focus and don't do things in the back of a fag packet and hold people accountable and put people in the best people in positions and make sure that they're given targets and KPIs, you can build a business and a successful football club underneath it. And that's what he's done with Coventry. Now, whether they stay up or they don't stay up, like he said, the opportunity is, I don't want to go back where I came from. Everyone loves the Championship, but they all want to get out of it. Everyone says what a wonderful league it is, but no one wants to be in it.
Yeah,
everyone wants to be in the Premier League. Now, of course, I was full of the joys of spring. And when you're coming into your 10th game, and you ain't got to win. It starts to weigh down on you. Hopefully, that won't be the case for Coventry. They spent 142 million euros on players, so they've had a go. Hopefully, they've bought enough players to be able to compete when the season gets long and hard, when they have to change games, when the opposition they play against has got quality to die for, and they can pull it off the bench and the game gets deep. When Coventry are holding XYZ team 0-0 in the 80th minute and they go bang, pull off a world-class striker or a decent striker from their bench, and Coventry look around at what they've got and they haven't got anything left to match them. These are the challenges that he alludes to. And squad cap regulations, if you can have 75% of your turnover, so he can have, if his turnover is 200 million quid now, he can have a wage bill of 150 million quid, and Arsenal can have a wage bill of 500 if they want. Don't tell me that doesn't matter. Don't tell me that quality, you cannot win a league. And by the way, when you use the example of Leicester, they won the league. What happened to all their players? They all got bought by the bigger clubs. Mahrez, Drinkwater. The only one that stayed was Vardy. But the rest of the team, all of them got sold to the bigger football clubs.
Should Doug King, that focus that he's got, he comes over very well. When he talks, we listen. But in your experience, if it didn't go well, how long do you give it? Because it will be tough for Coventry. I think in the second game, I think they're actually up against fellow New Boys Hull.
Depends what you're seeing.
It will be tough.
Depends what you're seeing. If you know that you've given your manager a certain amount of tools, and you know then with your own eyes and the honesty of what you're seeing that he is exhausting every last ounce of opportunity from it, in the same way that Ipswich looked at Kieran McKenna's performances when they got relegated, and they didn't get relegated with any great credit. They went down with a bit of a whimper, but they still believed in Kieran McKenna because they knew that the tools they'd given him probably weren't sufficient. So he exhausted the best from those tools, got relegated, but they came back up again Ipswich, and the manager decided he needed a sabbatical, but they stayed with him. If Frank Lampard goes off the reservation and starts making stupid decisions and starts to believe his own hype and gets carried away with him, which I don't think he will, then you start questioning it, But if you have given them the tools and you can see for you know the truth as an owner, you can sit there and go, well, unless you want to be deluded and just be dictatorial for the sake of it, you will know the truth yourself. And if you know that your guy is exacting every last ounce of opportunity from the playing squad that you were able to provide him, but simply you're playing against better opposition. If you don't turn up against the opposition that you know you can match, then you can start looking at it. But when you go against Man United and Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea and Newcastle and Spurs and whoever else that are in this division that are established Premier League football clubs, and you come up short because their players are better, what do? Sack someone because their players are better. If he has exhausted the very best version of that playing squad and got it to a level where it's competitive, but it ain't good enough, goals aren't being scored because you haven't got a good enough striker. The goalkeeper isn't quite as good as you want him to be because goals get let in. What do? You either go and say to him, I'm going to back you even bigger and get you better players. Now I want something more from you. Or you accept the fact that 130 million whilst enormous amounts of money, pales into insignificance against the established value of squads, against even sides like my old team, Palace, or Bournemouth, or whoever else.
Now, listen, on that, and I'm keen to get your response to this, how difficult or otherwise is it to hold your nerve as a new Premier League club owner? Because that's what Doug's going to have to do.
No, he makes decisions. He fired Mark Robbins and people didn't like it, and he turned around and said the reasons why I fired him. He's been proven to be right. Anyone can make a decision. All of us can make decisions. Everybody that's in a position of influence hasn't got there by chance. They've got there because they've made money, they've been successful, and they make decisions. We can all make decisions. It's about making the right ones. It's not about holding your nerve. It's about knowing what's in front of your eyes and being involved enough to make a decision. I knew that I should have fired Dowie. I knew that for about 10 games into the season that it wasn't going to go the way I thought it, even though he put a bloody good fist up of it and we nearly stayed up in the division. But I didn't have anything to turn to. When Palace knew that Ian Holloway was out of his depth, they knew that he was floundering, and they managed to go find Tony Pulis. Whatever you think of Tony Pulis' brand of football, he was an established Premier League football manager that knew his way around and getting you out of the brown stuff.
Right.
And when it became past Pulis, it became Pardew. And when it came Pardew, it became Roy Hodgson. When it became past Hodgson, it became Sam Allardyce. And all of those know their way around the bottom end of the division to keep your team in the division. So it's all about what you've got to replace. Everybody can fire somebody. It's much more difficult to replace them with something that improves them.
Did you maintain your belief? When you went up to the Premier League, week in, week out, did you maintain... Was there a time that your belief became diminished?
No, the only time in that season when we got relegated that my belief became challenged was we lost away to Blackburn with about 5 games to go, and we were dreadful. And I thought to myself, this is the first time that I really considered. We were out of the bottom 3 at the turn of the year. Most statistics tell you if you're out of the bottom 3 at the turn of the year, you won't be getting relegated. We beat Spurs in the week of the new year, and we were in relatively good form. But we tailed away. We lost, and when we lost 1-0 away to Blackburn, I thought to myself, we were dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And I thought to myself, this is the first time I'm considering going back to that miserable wasteland of the EFL. With all due respect to it, because it is by comparison.
Coventry, Ipswich, Hull. Do they all stay up?
I hope so. I mean, one is because Michelle and Hull is a big part of my life, and obviously parts of my extended family are all from that part of the world. And I like Atune. I think he's been wonderful for the football club, and I think he deserves success.
Yeah.
Ipswich, I'm a big admirer of Mark Ashton. I'd like to see them stay up because they've gone down. And this guy, Doug King, deserves the opportunity because he's backed it with disciplines, money, and not just thrown money at it. He's clearly installed standards in it and involved himself in making sure that the fabric of the football club has substance. So you want them, and you want those that are hanging around the bottom of the Premier League like a bad smell. Get rid of them. Get them out. Get them relegated, and let them recycle. West Ham going down was part of the refreshing of the Premier League, and they'll come back up again as a refreshed football club, maybe with new ownership.
And before you and I came on air the other day, I had a bit of a joust with Stelling and McCoy about VAR in the Championship. You heard Doug King said you bet they should have VAR in the Championship.
But their qualification of it, because they're proper football people, they will turn around and say that that's because he's a money man, doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, this money man got that football club out of the doldrums and back into the Premier League in the same way the other money man in Marinakis got them up out of the Championship into the Premier League. And when he went up, all the 4-foot Oxford, he was saying, look at how he buys players. Look what he does. Look what he says. Look at Nottingham Forest. Look what they are as a football club. Okay, they made a bit of a haulix of it last year, but look where they are now as opposed to where they've been.
Yeah. Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
I put it on silent and plane mode the whole time I was on holiday.
Good lad. I did
time.
message you and you pied me.
Well,
I was like, it's fine.
Well, I didn't get it.
Fine.
I didn't get the message.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm back now, right?
Yeah.
And I got a little surprise for you.
Oh, you got me a present.
I've got you a little prize.
What you got me?
I've got you.
What you got me? Ah! He's got me a Jason Cundy Tottenham shirt.
There you go, mate. You wanted one.
Is this official your shirt?
That's the official, right?
This is a match-worn shirt.
It's a match, well, probably match on the bench.
That's amazing.
Joe, I've got a little Sharpie here, mate, and I'm going to sign it in the break.
I want you to sign it. We have to come up with something. What are we going to put on it?
Dear numbnuts.
And that's amazing. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
It's in my mum and dad's house.
That's so good.
There you
That's
go.
fully fledged. This is proper Premier League.
Yeah.
That's,
there you go, mate.
thank you, mate.
That's
That's
all
going to
right,
go
see?
up on the wall. I
Is it?
didn't get you anything.
That's all right.
So, sorry. I didn't think we were exchanging presents.
But no, it's fine. You asked. You did say to me, if I find one, can I have it? And there you go, mate.
You found it. Well done.
Found it, matey.
That's so good.
There you go.
Fits as well. Fits.
Excellent.
I love the old shirts because they're all massive.
Yeah.
So I can get that on.
Do you want me to sign it? You're going to stick it on your wall? You're going to.
Yeah. Of course I want you.
When Spurs play, you might wear it, Jay.
No. Yeah. What's number 26?
No, I got bumped out, didn't I? Jurgen Klinsmann took me 18.
Yeah, and that's Ledley King's number as well, isn't it? Literally, Cundy's the worst player to wear number 26 for Spurs.
Yep, king-size coverage of the EFL live on talkSPORT. And, of course, West Ham United in that championship division this season, whether the fans like it or not, that's where they will be playing their football. And West Ham United have felt obliged to make a statement before this season really gets underway proper. A section of West Ham fans, Simon, were heard at Burnley at the weekend past, singing a chant about their new Israeli winger, Manor Solomon, which includes the line, "He hates Palestine." Solomon joined West Ham from Tottenham during the summer. Now, he has previously shared social media posts expressing views on the war in Gaza. It's actually not the first time this chant has been sung by his own fans. Leeds United condemned the same song when Solomon played for them back in 2024. West Ham have released a statement today saying, "We'd like to remind supporters of the responsibility we all hold to represent the club in the right way." The club says, regardless of their background, every supporter with our diverse fan base should also be free to enjoy watching their team play football without fear, discrimination or abuse. And we remain committed to ensuring that everyone feels safe, respected and included. West Ham say the club's aware of this offensive and diversive chant containing an anti-Palestine message being sung by a section of the away fans at Burnley. We encourage our fans to sing loud and proud about their football club and the players wearing the claret and blue shirt, but never in a way that creates division or causes offence among fellow fans. When this happened to Leeds, Leeds condemned the same song, as I said.
Yeah.
And Leeds increased their CCTV surveillance, warning that anyone taking part should receive a club banning order. West Ham haven't gone as far as that.
They will.
They will.
If it carries on, yeah.
That was going to be my next question. What will they do?
Yeah, I mean, offence is something that's taken, not really given, though, is it? So people can take offence at whatever they choose. But I think it's advisable for fan bases to be singing about these things? Well, no, of course I don't. I mean, the football world has started this particular race to the bottom by alighting itself upon all kinds of particular agendas that suits it, and then being party to that and making football party to it. And fans are part of that because they're the ones that tell people to keep politics out of football and then do it themselves. I'm not sure that they would consider this to be a political circumstance. Now, they will look at societal circumstances, elevate it into what they consider to be football banter, and turn around and say it's about humour, rather than necessarily about political beliefs. Because if you ask the people that are singing their songs what their political beliefs were in this subject matter, you probably get a variety of different opinions. So, unfortunately, this is the cornerstone of English football to some extent, certainly amongst the fans, where there's tribalism, there's Mickey taking this banter. Look at the awful songs that the Leeds fans sing about Jimmy Savile and what gets sung back to them and what they sing themselves about it, because they sing themselves about Jimmy Savile's one of them, you know, and send themselves up by doing it. So I think sometimes we can take it too seriously, but because of the nature of the way that football is a public domain business and the optics that need to be managed and curated, the football club needs to be seen to be saying this is totally unacceptable, we don't want it, and we're going to remove it, and if you continue with it, because otherwise they're going to get sanctioned. I mean, I don't think we can really take it that seriously. A bunch of football fans singing a ridiculous song to a football player shouldn't make front page news.
Well, you mentioned the hypocrisy here, and there is, Simon. Football fans are often the first to say keep politics out of sport. Yet here they are referencing politics in the stands, and it is a political matter.
They do, because interestingly, we've seen politics being brought into sport or political positions taken by sporting organisations and football clubs regularly. Yet when their fans do it, they get most offended. We saw that recently, I think it was with Celtic, wasn't it? When Celtic fans put up a banner about something or another. I forget what it was, immigration policy or something that they did, and they got sanctioned. And it was interesting because the club can say what it wants and the football governance can say what it wants, but if the people that supposedly are the most valuable component part of football dare to express their views, then they're shut down by the establishment. So I don't take what football fans sing inside a football stadium particularly seriously. I don't think it's particularly influential, but I also don't think it's particularly palatable. You know, we had football players like Hamza Chowdhury running around on the FA Cup final with a Palestine flag after Leicester won the FA Cup final. These sort of things perhaps should be considered in the rounds as well.
Yeah.
Football fans are no different from the players that express their views. What I would say, and it's not excusing it, that this is not designed to be a political position by the fans. It's designed to take the mickey. I don't know how many Palestinians support West Ham, and that's relatively academic. If those that have strong views, and we all have a view to an extent about what's happening in that particular conflict, some of us are more informed than others, but if those that have a very strong empathy with the Palestinians are taking offence from it, then okay, it's an offence that they're taken. And we do have freedom of speech in this country and people can say what they want, even if you don't like it. But football wants to operate at a higher level. It doesn't want tragedy chanting. It doesn't want an abuse a culture that alights upon division amongst it, because it knows it could create division, and so West Ham have to make the stance, take the stance. If I was the chairman of Palace or any football club, I'd probably say the same thing.
Right, so West Ham moving on that. Wolves actually in the last few moments, they made a statement on their pre-match song, The Liquidator.
Oh yeah, special.
You heard about this?
Oh yeah. Prince Buster, actually.
Having considered the history of the song, the views expressed by supporters and the club's responsibilities around supporter behaviour, safety, governance, Wolves have decided that The Liquidator will not be reintroduced into the pre-match entertainment schedule at Molineux.
Why?
The club recognises the significance of the song to sections of the Wolves support and its long association. The regulatory environment in which clubs operate, they've changed considerably over the past year, and we get to the reason. In recent seasons, Wolves have been sanctioned by the FA in relation to mass discriminatory chanting, and against that backdrop, the club does not believe it would be appropriate to reintroduce a song which has historically prompted mass offensive chanting at Molineux.
I thought they had Hi Ho Silver Lining. I thought that was their song. But it's interesting. I mean, yes, if the song's been adapted, Millwall used to have a song called, used to adapt Living Next Door to Alice. And they adapted it to Living Next Door to Palace. Palace, right. Who the F for Palace? I used to think it was funny.
Well, I think that's it. You've touched on it there. Because I think in the middle of the Wolves song, they chant F off West Brom.
Oh, God. Really? I mean, literally, when Millwall fans used to sing it, because there used to be a song in the 60s called Living Next Door to Alice, and they adapted it to Living Next Door to Palace, Palace, who the F for Palace.
Yeah.
Right? And I got a load of abuse because I was normally having a checkbook waved to me and what a loser I was. And I thought it was funny. And I took it as it was. So
right.
what are we trying to do? Sanitise the game?
Well, Wolves are saying
one thing making political positions, it's another thing taunting your rivals. Right. Isn't that the bedrock of the tribalism that fuels the emotion? What are we turning football into? A totally sanitised product.
I'm 30. To your left was in Seattle, Miami, Houston, LA. He was all over the place.
He was.
He is Danny Murphy, and he was magnificent, particularly when you consider that one comment during commentary, and he went viral.
You used to have a cat called Bob. The game's not that bad. Yeah, he jumped in the back of a Royal Mail van and we lost him.
We have a double substitution for Norway.
Sad, really.
Alexander
anyway.
Now, you were talking about Bob the cat.
Yeah.
Tell us about Bob the cat, because by God, everybody went crazy when they heard that.
Well, firstly, it's nice to be appreciated, isn't it, for the good analysis and all the hard work I'd done on the teams, the formations, the players, the hours of effort you dedicate to your job. No, it was just one of those things that the game wasn't very good. We were chatting away. Oscar Bob came off the bench and it just came out, and then it went on and on.
Bob the cat. Why have you never shared this with me and Simon in the many hours that we share together?
Well, because I've got you two on a pedestal of being intellectual, sophisticated men. Well, at least one of you.
I was going to say.
So I didn't think that'd be a topic that you'd be interested in, but no, it was good fun.
Yeah.
Good fun. I think it's nice.
I don't like cats.
Do you not? No. That doesn't surprise me. Why don't you like cats?
I've never liked cats. I like dogs.
You don't like people.
talkSPORT News.
Good morning. With your headlines, I'm Sinead Garvan. Harry and Meghan are heading back to the UK after 6 years, but not as working royals. Their kids have been enrolled to start school in September, and it's understood they'll live outside of London. The news came as a surprise to many, as royal commentator Jenny Bond explains.
Everyone was gobsmacked yet again. It's the sort of thing that Harry railed against in his book about the way the palace briefed certain media. Well, it seems to be that's what he's doing too.
Asylum seekers arriving in the UK are being given a leaflet detailing how they should behave. It explains that rape is a serious crime, even if married, and that women can make their own choices here. Labour MP Georgia Gould says it is to ensure they know the basics.
The starting point of coming to this country is understanding the laws of this country, understanding the consequences of breaking those laws and the absolute basics. And, that is critical that people understand.
Top GCSE grades have risen on last year, but the key pass rates returned to pre-COVID levels. Results this morning also show the gap between boys and girls has shrunk again to the narrowest point this century. And cinemas are considering banning Meta's AI glasses over piracy concerns. Wetherspoons has already stopped owners using them to record on their premises, but the tech giant says they're hugely beneficial for blind people.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For professional grade ceilings with easy application and a perfect finish, pros trust Bostik.
Coventry's owner tells us the Premier League is a closed shop and Wolves get rid of their pre-match song. Tom's got more at 12.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
And Sean Martin from BetMGM joins us live this morning. Very soon we're off to Norway, actually. We're going to be speaking live to Brighton and Hove Albion Chief Executive Paul Barber, because tonight, Tromsø against Brighton. It's a Conference League playoff first leg, and it's a talkSPORT 2 exclusive. Sean, good morning. What are you thinking on that?
Yeah, morning, lads. So Brighton join the European fray, as you say. They're way up in the Arctic Circle to face Norwegian side Tromsø. 1-2 favourites to win the match, Jim. They've had a good pre-season, despite losing Danny Welbeck, Jan Paul van Hecke, and a fair few other experienced players. James Milner's away, Adam Webster's away, Solly March away. The last two in particular have been there for years. Tromsø, midway through their season, third in the Norwegian top flight, and they thrashed Cluj 7-1 on aggregate in the last round. They're 17-4 though, so definite underdogs on their artificial surface. We've also got Rangers and Hearts back in action. They're both at home. Rangers 8-25 favourites to beat Czech side Jablonec. Derek McKinnon's got his first win at the weekend, as you'll know, Jim. A big 5-1 demolition of St Mirren. 6.5-1 for a Jablonec upset. And Hearts, difficult one again for them. They had Benfica the last time they were playing. They're at home to Rapid Vienna this time. They've already lost to Austrian opposition this summer in Sturm Graz, and Rapid are actually above them in the league and have won all of their last 11 games. So yeah, as I say, tricky one for the Jambos. They're 13-10, so just over even money. 5-2 the draw and 13-8 for a Rapid Vienna win. The Brighton Rangers Hearts treble comes in at around 3.5-1. And of course, can't ignore the fact that Motherwell and Hibs are also in action. They're both underdogs. Motherwell, really capable team, but 4.5-1 to win at home to Europa runners-up Freiburg, so they're up against it as well. Hibs 17-4 away to Ghent. You add those two to upset the odds to the treble, and the fivefold comes in at about 149-1, gents.
Wonderful. Sean, are you going to get in the passing? Are you pleased with the Celtic result last night?
What a game. What a game. I don't know, did either of you watch it?
I did, yes.
It was a really nice win, really positive.
Quite it. No, I didn't. No, he didn't catch it. I certainly did, and I thought they were great. Although it was hearts and mouths right at the beginning when last thought they'd scored. So yeah, looking good. 3-0 after that first leg. Premier League relegation review. Where are we going to go with that?
Yeah, so I mean, we can see we have three favourites to go down this season on the odds, and unsurprisingly, it is the promoted sides. Hull are top of the market at 4-1 on, having done a lot of business, mostly from overseas, with kind of little Premier League experience. A couple of 20+ million guys in there, but mostly shopping around in the kind of 10 and under range. Spent, I think, about 63 million or so. Ipswich 16-25 to go down. They've actually spent more this window, 144 million, than they did the last time they were promoted in 2024. They've taken a different approach this time though, Jim. Last time it was all about kind of young English talent, some Premier League experience. This time it's more kind of the Sunderland route, let's say, more expensive signings, and have come from the French top flight. They've also got Sasa Lukic from Fulham. They might be hoping he becomes their kind of Granit Xhaka in the middle, so to speak. As I say, they're 16 to 25 to go down. Coventry are exactly the same price, having spent just north of 100 million. Re-signed a few players who were on loan last season as well, Frank Lampard. Everyone else is 3 to 1 or higher to go down. Do either of you think there's another team there that could be in danger this season? I've got my concerns about a couple, but do you think anyone else comes into that conversation?
I think there'll be a few, Simon, trying to stave it off, because it's going to be one hell of a dogfight to stay in the top flight.
Yeah, it'd be competitive. I find myself always loath to look at who's going to fail. I don't like that sort of dynamic. I understand it's part of the conversation that needs to be had, but I always try to look upwards rather than downwards. It'll be interesting to see how Ipswich go, because I thought that their choice of manager was curious. They brought French players in that, obviously as a result of Gary being in the French league and managing there. So he's gone and gotten players that he's seen play in the 4 or 5 months that he was managing over there after he took over from Liam Rossigno when Liam came over to Chelsea. It'll be fascinating because Lampard has to prove himself in the Premier League, because I'm not sure he has proven himself in the Premier League, despite the fact that people will point to one season at Chelsea. So he'll be there pushing to try and stay in the league and providing all the expertise that he has from previous incarnations of Everton and of Chelsea.
Yeah.
You've got the Ipswich factor, where the lessons that they will have learned, Mark spoke to me about it in great detail when I went to the Fabio Wardley fights, when he fought Justice Hooney about a year, 18 months ago when they got relegated, and the lessons that they will have learned may have influenced their buying criteria for this season. But they've got a different manager in situ than the Kieran McKenna situation.
Yeah.
And it's surprising that a June hasn't gone bigger and bolder with Hull, because 63 million, you're going to have spent really cannily. Be really canny. You can get bargains when you're Liverpool. You can nick Andy Robertson out of Hull for 8 million quid and put him in the Liverpool side and look at it like a wonderful buy. But you don't tend to do that when you're Hull. You tend to have to pay for players or lesser sides that are coming into the Premier League again, try and re-establish themselves. And 63 million quid spent, it's going to be hard work for them.
Yeah.
But who knows? They might be the surprise package. They might be the one that comes up and do what other sides like Sheffield United have come up and done, which is defy the conventional wisdom, play in a certain way that confounds the opposition and get a good season.
Got themselves a goalkeeper, didn't they? Jack Butland, Hull. We'll see how that works out, Sean. Sean, let's finish with boxing, and you're going to give us the latest on that. On boxing, Frank Smith, Don Charles, Dalton Smith, all going to be joining this show between 12 and 1. But what are you thinking?
So given the fact it's been back in the news this week, for better or worse, I think we should probably check in on the Fury Joshua odds. I actually watched the Netflix trailer during your show. It was the other day. I had much the same reaction as you, Simon. I was basically saying, what on earth do they mean by £1 crown? There's now up for grabs. So look, overall, I mean, to me, it's very, very Mayweather Pacquiao. To me, it's getting. I will watch it. I will make a point of watching it. I just wish I was watching it about 8 years ago or whatever. Given what happened in their last fights, still a bit underwhelmed by what we may end up watching. But odds-wise, they have moved ever so slightly further in Fury's favour after those two fights the other week. We had Fury favourite before. He is still the favourite. He's 1-2 now, having been 13 to 25. So moved a sliver shorter. AJ has gone out a smidge as well. He's currently 6-4, having been 65 at his last fight. Now, there is actually some boxing with a crown up for grabs as well this weekend. Obviously, Simon Rolly Romero.
Oh, yes, Teofimo Lopez, yeah.
In Vegas, in an MGM venue, actually, the T-Mobile Arena. Romero, the WBA welterweight champ, elevated obviously after Butch Ennis vacated, but he goes in as 9-4 underdog. He was 6.5 to 1 underdog against Ryan Garcia last year, though, and beat him. Could have taken a tune-up, but actually could have defended against Jack Catterall. I feel for him, but he's gone for Teofimo instead. He's stepped up to welter, tried to become a three-weight world champion. Lopez, 1-3 favourite. Simon, do you think he does it, three-weight world champion?
Well, I mean, we saw Teofimo Lopez in New York at the fight when we were watching Zayas versus Boots Ennis.
Yeah.
And he looked fit and ready to go and certainly determined. Obviously, he got completely outclassed, surprisingly, by the manner in which he got outclassed by Shuker Stevenson at 140, and he's now stepped up to 147. He's a class operator. Look at the fights that he's had on his resume. Look at the fighters that he's been in with. Rolly Romero, on paper, doesn't come anywhere near that. Ryan Garcia, yes, is a great result. I think Teofimo Lopez wins this. I don't know what he wins it by, but I think he wins it.
That's what I was going to ask. He's 8-13 to win by decision, so very much the odds suggest that it will go the distance and that Lopez will get it if it does. They are friends as well, so it's a bit different in the build-ups than we usually see this one. They're both sitting saying, oh yeah, I like him, and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued to see what it's like from the opening rounds, but yeah, favoured to go the distance, I think.
Okay. Sean, thank you very much indeed. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Danny, when you look at it, United in that fairly congested midfield area, say Baliba comes through the door, Tielemans is there, Santos, Mainu, Bruno Fernandes. Well, it's going to be a mighty old force in midfield, is it not?
It looks a very strong group of players, all giving little different parts of what you want. A far cry, really, from what we've seen over the last couple of years. United struggling in midfield areas. And I think we're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. They'll be looking to try and compete for the Premier League and the Champions League in the next couple of years. Of course they will. That's the aim of a club like Manchester United. So you need at least 5, when you think about it, in the middle of the park, who are going to be pushing each other, especially if they play a 3. You know, Bruno's probably the one standout, you say, in all the big games he's going to play. Yeah. He's got great durability anyway, and he's the match, the game changer, the match winner, the creative force, the goals. I would imagine for me, out of the others, Santos, Baliba, both young lads, both got more to come. Tielemans is more rounded, more ready to take that on. I think Tielemans has
Where's it leave Mainu? A lot of people asking me to ask you that. Well, and what's your ideal starting 3?
I think that would depend a lot on where they're at when they come in and how they adapt to the pressure and expectation of being at Man United, because that's never easy. I think initially he might go Tielemans, Bruno and Mainu, because Mainu knows what the manager wants already. I think Baliba will become one of the main men.
Of course, we're still in the month of August, but European football is back with us. Even though the Premier League's still to get up and running, which it will do this weekend. It will start tomorrow night when Arsenal face the new boys Coventry City, and that one is live on talkSPORT. I mentioned Celtic, of course, had a good win last night against Lask Linz of Austria. in their Champions League qualifier. Brighton are in Norway tonight. They face Tromsø way up in the Arctic Circle in the first leg of what is a Europa Conference League playoff. And it's live on talkSPORT 2. Let's head up there right now and join Brighton Chief Executive Paul Barber. Paul, good to speak to you. Describe your surroundings for me. Where are you when it comes to being in Tromsø?
Yeah, we're right up in the north part of Norway. It's absolutely beautiful here, as you can see probably behind me if you've got the web camera on. And it's pretty warm, Jim. I think even Simon would enjoy it here.
That's a stretch, as you and I both know, Mr. Barber. Paul, listen, it's a new season. Fabian Herzl is the man at the helm. How are you feeling about it? First off, with this one, I mean, how important is it that Brighton go deep in this tournament?
Yeah, it's a really important tournament. It's only the second time in our club's history we've played in Europe, so we're really looking forward to it again. It's an unusual start being this far north in August. It's really quite sort of surreal being up here. But we've got just over 400 fans here. We sold out our allocation. Fans have made a fantastic effort to get here through all kinds of strange routes. Some of them were lucky enough to get a direct flight, but most of them didn't. So we're really looking forward to the game. We've been really well looked after already by the Norwegian people here and the club, and we're excited for tonight.
And of course, if you need any inspiration whatsoever, Paul, just look at what Crystal Palace did in this tournament.
They did very well. I have to give them the credit where it's due. They did very well, and it's great to see English clubs winning European trophies and helping all of us with our coefficient and giving us chances to play in Europe. And as I say, we're excited for our fans again because this is only the second time it's happened. It's a real experience and a lifetime of memories get made on trips like this. So we're excited for them as well.
Well, it's important, obviously, Brighton following in the footsteps of Crystal Palace as they often do. But it's important that you uphold the value of the English clubs that have won this. Is this a tournament? I know you want to choose your words carefully because you don't want to be seen to be arrogant. But is this a tournament that you half expect to be able to win, Paul?
I think we go into it, Simon, with a real keen and competitive edge to what we know is an opportunity to win our first major trophy. Having said that, there are also some really good teams in this tournament that we know that are going to be out there with the same ambition. We've also got to compete in the Premier League, and there's 2 domestic trophies as well. So, I'm not one of those people that believe that you can just sacrifice one trophy or tournament for another. I think we've got to try and do our best to compete in all 4. And that's what we intend to do this season. I know it's Fabian's aim to do that. And certainly the players who I've spoken to so far on this trip, they're really excited to play in this tournament and equally to get going in the Premier League on Sunday against Aston Villa.
Well, I was going to ask you, because I had some interesting conversations with your manager, both online and offline during the summer, during the World Cup, because obviously he came into our show and spoke to us on a relatively regular basis. And I also had some conversations with Fabian because he has a very curious mind about gaining information and talking to various people to be able to build up his knowledge pool. So he's probably wasted his time talking to me. But what does success look like for Brighton? He struck me as a very ambitious, broad-minded coach that wants to embrace things because he's young and he's a new breed of manager. But what does success look like? Because you told me a couple of years ago that you sat there with Brighton thinking that one place above relegation is the building position that you start with. You must be past that now. You must be into a mentality now of Brighton demanding of themselves the best version each season, and Tony being the kind of taskmaster that he is. So what does success look like for you this year?
Well, I think this is our 10th successive season in the Premier League, which has gone really quickly, but it's given us a really good foundation to build from. I think finishing the top 10 position now is our aim every season. It's not just about survival. Obviously, if things go badly, you get bad luck and injuries and so on. Then survival becomes your default position. But I think we've got ourselves to a position where aiming for a top 10 position is where we're at. Qualifying for European competition is something that we strive for now every season. And we're also cognizant of the fact, Simon, that there's now a really good and significant group of clubs outside the traditional top 6 or 7 that want to do the same. So we've got to really be on our game every game, in order to achieve that ambition. And we're trying to build the squad and the depth of the squad to suit our aim to compete in those 4 competitions. We're not going to change our model away from younger players, blending them with more senior experienced players, because that's our model. That's how we exist and compete in the Premier League. But we also know that we've got to try and give Fabian the best chance of competing in those 4 competitions by giving him the depth in all the positions that he needs. So it's a difficult balancing act. You've been in this position. It's so difficult to get that balance right. But we're really lucky as ever with Tony's support. We're fortunate that we've got our key infrastructure in place, the stadium, the training ground, women's stadium to come. So all of that is there. And, we've got a fantastic fan base that fill the Amex every week. So we've got all of the key things that we need to build from. And each year that goes by, I think there's a little bit more belief, a little bit more confidence, a little bit more feeling that we belong at this level. But equally, there's no arrogance about understanding that there are a lot of very, very good football clubs in the Premier League that would love to be in our position right now.
We've watched you strengthen, that's for sure, Paul. I think the club spent over 110 million so far. Luka Vuskovic coming in from Tottenham, centre-back for 54 million. Where are we at? We can't have you on live without talking about Carlos Baleba. Understood to be preparing to travel to Manchester United ahead of a medical. Deal expected to be worth in excess of £60 million. Is he joining Manchester United, Paul?
Jim, you're a trier. I'll give you that. It's not something that I can talk about right now. I mean, this time of year, as you know, we're always going to be subject to bids for our players. We're always going to be interested in ones that are sensible and are going to make sense for us financially, economically. But we also have to balance that with making sure our squad is, as I said earlier, as strong as it can be to compete in competitions like the one we're in tonight. So nothing really to say on Carlos at the moment, other than that he's a hugely talented young midfielder who's done really well for us and has attracted interest from some of the biggest clubs in the world now for a couple of years. So let's see where we go.
Well, we've been talking on the show, Paul, about the nature of the way that the PSR rules are impacting upon football clubs and the ambitions of the league to be successful and the founding successes of the league being globalised and having a massive investment strategy. Richard Masters came out yesterday and talked about the fact that every club can aspire to win the Premier League. Doug King came on from Coventry saying, well, you might aspire to do that, but you can't achieve it. Now, I know you might want to tap dance around this and be diplomatic because you don't want to get up Masters' nose, but it is a closed shop, isn't it? I mean, winning the Premier League is really the precinct of maybe 4 or 5 football clubs that have got £700 million turnovers, isn't it?
Realistically, yes, I can't disagree with that. It's much harder to win the Premier League than even when Leicester did it, and that was, as you know, an unusual season in itself. I don't think the new rules, without a cap, have helped us as a club of our size. I think the top to toe cap would have actually given us a much better chance of maintaining a competitive and compelling league, which is what Richard and everyone at the Premier League sets out to achieve. But as you know, Simon, funny things happen in football. It's 11 v 11 on any given day. And, if you can get a good run going, good momentum, get a bit of luck, good players around you, good coaching, you can give some of the bigger guys a real run for their money. And we've done that, and Palace have done that, and other so-called smaller clubs have done that in the Premier League now for many years. Winning it, though, is a really, really big ask and a difficult one, but it doesn't stop us trying. And, if you try and aim for the top, and you miss, you fail, then maybe you get one of those Champions League spots, which are also financially transformative for the club. But we're realistic. We know where we've come from. We know the competition we're up against. But we really want to give it another good go this season, and we've got 4 trophies now to aim for. And we don't discount anything, including the Premier League title. But we also know that there's some very, very big clubs with huge budgets that are probably ahead of us in that queue.
Well, Paul, I, for one, knowing you as I do, would be delighted if you could lift a trophy this season. I'm sure, Simon, you would echo that.
Well, it'd be nice to see Brighton do that for once in their history.
Oh, Paul, I tried my best, mate.
Oh, he's cheap, isn't he? He really is, honestly. I thought he was a mate, but clearly not.
Paul, good luck tonight, and good luck for the rest of the season. We always appreciate when you join us, and today's no exception. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Simon.
See you, mate. Good luck.
Paul Barber joining us live from way up in the Arctic Circle, northern Norway, Tromsø in action tonight against Paul Barber's Brighton and Hove Albion. And of course, it's the first leg of a Europa Conference League playoff. And it's live on talkSPORT 2. We're live on talkSPORT at 12 noon. For the record, we've had 7 different Premier League winners.
Over 33 years, over 34 years.
But this time...
Wow.
But this time, Simon, do you not agree that this is probably the most competitive ever Premier League season on the horizon?
For participation, not for winning. You're going to be one of the 4 clubs that has the biggest turnovers is going to win the league. Aston Villa are not going to win the league. Newcastle are not going to win the league.
So how do you explain Leicester when they did it?
A rare and absolute anomaly that was never allowed to happen again, because all the big clubs sat on their hands, suddenly decided that they could all do things in a certain way, and they got caught with their pants down, even to the way that they allowed Leicester to play. Everybody knew how Leicester played. Drinkwater gets the ball, looks up, knocks it long for Vardy, and yet on the last game of the season they were doing the same thing, and teams were still playing the same way against them. So don't ask me how I explain that situation, but it's not going to be repeated, and it hasn't been repeated since, and that was now a decade ago. So who's won the league since then, and who won the league prior to that?
So tell me straight, how many teams this time around do you feel can aspire to win the Premier League?
2, 3. But that doesn't mean the league's not competitive. The argument, why would you suggest that governance needs to be brought in to the most successful league that has been the commercially most successful league in the history of football? Why are you regulating it? What are you regulating it from? I understand what he's saying is that the Premier League clubs want some degree of control. They want governance. Yeah, they want good disciplines. They want good governance. They want good regulation. Is your regulation with the consequences of the way that clubs are suing one another now, the way that they're suing, the way that Man City have been hauled over the coals and been sat in abeyance for 2 years because you can't prosecute them properly, is that good governance and good regulation? Because to me, it doesn't look like it.
Dear Kitmen, we see you, we appreciate your work. While some fans reckon it's just hanging up shirts in dressing rooms, we know it's so much more. A football team's kit is its identity, its uniform, what sets it out from the rest. But it doesn't clean itself. That's not just the shirts, it's the shorts, the socks, the training gear, the boots, the other bits we sort out behind closed doors. Who's the one digging around in that smelly, stinky laundry basket at full time? Yeah, it's the kit man. They have a lot to work on in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit. Make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kit man. In the meantime, it's on the kit man to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kit man then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground, and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it, whether it's the glitz and glamour of the Premier League, or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke.
Every week at this time it's played, and every week Spencer Oliver smiles from ear to ear. And why wouldn't you?
Absolutely,
because
Jim.
that's your walk-on music.
That was my fourth European title defence. Fabrice Benachou at Pickett's Lock, I believe it was. And Frank Smith has just said to me, "You get that every week."
It's a liberty. I didn't get any. I didn't get a song.
Frank, what song would you like?
You'll be getting
something to do with tea.
Frank,
something like the Wizard of Oz.
Frank, you'll be
Munchkins.
You'll be getting
represent.
He's been calling me short, but he's about 5'5" over there. We can't all be like you, Simon.
5'5".
Yeah,
still
listen,
5'5".
Frank Smith is Matchroom's chief executive, works for Eddie Hearn, of course, at Matchroom, and Frank joins. If you're wondering who Frank is, as Spencer referenced Frank there, Frank is with us live on the show. Frank, good to see you, mate.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Last time we saw you, we were in the Barclays Centre. Simon and I were both there in New York, out there for the World Cup, of course. But what a night. Boots Ennis. It was sensational.
Spectacular. What an atmosphere as well. And what a performance as well. Boots Ennis just showed why he's in that position, as in that pound-for-pound list, top 10 already, and he's going to go all the way to the top.
You're a fan of Boots Ennis, Spencer?
Massive fan, yeah. He is a pound-for-pound star. Simon was talking about the atmosphere out there and what it was like. Very rarely do you get those fights come along and you get the atmosphere that goes with it as well. Xander Zayas played his part in a tremendous fight. Great young champion who can come again himself. But Boots Ennis really is, he's going to be the next big thing over the next decade or so, I would say.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great atmosphere at this fight, because it's at the Copper Box and it's this Saturday and it's live on DAZN. Unbeaten British middleweight George Liddard, big West Ham fan, as I understand it, with a big West Ham following, is preparing to fight Dario Morello for the vacant European middleweight title at the Copper Box, live on DAZN. And Frank, this is a big one, not only for George, but for fight fans in general, because this should be explosive.
100%. George has been on a great journey and he wants to move quickly. I think I said it last time I came in here. He fought Tyler Denny. It was a brilliant fight he had last time out, and another step up for him. And he really isn't far off from getting to those world title eliminators. He's got to come through Saturday night. He's gone the traditional route, won the British title. Now he goes through to the European title. And I think later next year you'll be seeing him challenge for a world title.
And it's all about taking the right fights at the right time, isn't it? And George Liddard, this would be considered quite early to win a European title, to be fair. But it's a calculated gamble against a guy that's not lost for 7 years. He's only got one defeat on his record, who's tough, slippery as well. So you've got to have a lot of confidence in George Liddard and his ability. And Tyler Denny was probably that yardstick to tell you whether he's ready to go up to that next level.
For sure. And look, Tony Sims obviously trains George as well, believes in him very much and wants to move him at pace. And again, we always say we moan when fighters don't want to challenge themselves. And in this guy and George, you've got someone who wants to move quickly. He's spent some time down at West Ham, as you say. He's a big fan of the club. And ultimately, one day, the aim is to do something down at that London stadium.
And you're passing by here to head to the press conference later on today. It's live on DAZN as well. Morello's no mug, though. 26-1.
100%. And look, he's a lot more experienced than George, and he's the only person who actually wanted to take the fight against George for that European title. It was always for us with George, it was about getting in those shots at those belts, and the European titles was the next focus for him, build him up through the sanctioning body rankings. And yeah, Morello's coming to win. We saw him, he had a face-off at our office on Tuesday as well, and he's ready for it.
So Morello won that vacant title in his last contest. He's quite slippery, isn't he? Quite awkward, and it would be a considerable step up for Liddard. Although Tyler Denny on the resume looks great, probably his best days were past him. So this is another massive step up and a big gamble as well.
Yeah, 100%. But again, we've got to respect fighters wanting to take challenge. Wanting to take these 27 fights. He's got the experience, and George is going to go in there and look to put on a big performance and then set up the big fights for the latter part of this year into early next year.
Looking forward to it, actually. George Liddard, Dario Morello, live in the Zone, Copper Box, Saturday night. Press conference later on today. Frank, when is the press conference for AJ Fury?
I didn't think you'd talk to me about that. I think that coming in here to talk about that. No one's been asking too many questions.
Where is it? Where is this imminent announcement?
Not yet. I mean, look, nothing's changed from what's been said time and time again. Ultimately, the fight was announced, 3 months ago, back in April when it was signed. It was signed to take place in the UK. Obviously, we've all seen the talk about what's going on currently, but nothing's changed.
But we're hearing rumours, quite strong rumours as well, that the fight's now happening at MSG. The fight is happening Friday, November the 20th.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. And the contracts are signed, but there's a smokescreen from Eddie just saying, no, listen, we want it here in Britain. But rumours are circulating that the fight is signed and it will be taking place there.
That's what a lot of people want, what you've said exactly there. But I can categorically say to you it's not signed to take place on November 20th in the US. Am I sitting here saying discussions aren't happening? No. But I can definitely say to you, the news that was released, I think it was the Daily Mail put it out there that it was signed, it's untrue. Come on, Simon.
Simon, you think it's well nigh a certainty?
I don't really care where it is.
Madison Square Garden.
The big thing is the fight's happening. And as I said to you yesterday, I mean, whichever stadium you put this fight in, whatever I may or may not think about this fight and where these fighters are at the stage in their career, they will fill any auditorium you put them into. It will be a tragedy for British boxing fans if it's in America, because they deserve to see these two guys that they have regarded as the best two British heavyweights for a very long time. They're not now, but they are box office. They are still the same people that can command and demand the level of return that they're going to get from this fight. Will it land in America? I bet it does. And all the subterfuge about who's controlling the direction of travel, the person that controls the direction of travel really is the person that pays the money.
No, but also we've got a contract. So we've signed it, like you've been in business for a long time. We signed but I'm not sitting here saying things can't change. But what I mean is, ultimately, if you sign a contract for something, our job is to abide by the terms of what we signed up to. Sure. And that's what we're saying. But I'm not disagreeing with you.
The proof of the pudding will be
end up in the US.
The proof of the pudding will be where it sits, and at the end of the day, if it sits in America, then all of the journey for the conversations about how it works. This idea about where the venue is, I think it's relatively academic. I know people are sitting there going, well, we want to see the fight and it's going to be billed at a certain time and we're going to have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, I guess it is what it is. The scale of this fight and the people that are paying for it and the broadcasters that are doing it are controlling the direction of travel. And they may have a contract signed, or Anthony Joshua may have, I don't know the deals. I mean, my understanding of the circumstances is Anthony Joshua negotiated his deal and Tyson Fury negotiated his deal. Yeah.
And the idea was that it had to take place in the UK.
And you have your promotional contract in place with it. But I would imagine that, again, I still maintain the view that the person that pays the money will eventually make the choice.
But is it that much of a travesty if it does land in New York? You've got to understand the global audience. Yeah, it's two British fighters. I understand that. But ultimately, they're the guys that are getting there, hitting each other. And if there's a lot more money, double the money on the table to go to New York, and they're at this stage of their career, then you sort of got to understand the business side of things as well. Yeah, you're going to get 90,000 in Wembley on a freezing cold November night. I understand that, and a lot of people are going to get wet and very, very cold. But the audience that's watching it are obviously the global audience on TV.
Yeah, I accept from a fighter's perspective, a fighter has to maximise. It's a dangerous sport. Fighters should maximise every penny they can make out of the sport 100%. I also agree with Simon, what he said. It's disappointing for British fight fans. I'm not sitting here saying if it ends up in the US, it's not disappointing for British fight fans. I can sit here openly and say, yes, I agree with that.
But this is a very convoluted event, and they're not going to tell you the nature behind it and how structured payments are being made and how tax efficiencies are being deployed and how money might have been paid into certain fights first to be able to make the second fight seeded in Saudi or in Dublin because there's tax efficiencies in Dublin. This is about maximum returns for fighters. And to some extent, you can't begrudge that. And these guys are not going to talk about the contractual situations because they are complex, and they will then invoke a whole raft of questions that they won't want to answer.
Frank, is it not as simple as one fight fan is suggesting here? This is one message. Listen, when Turki Al Sheikh says jump, they will all say how high. Not a chance in hell that Eddie will not do as he's told here. The Saudis have more money than God. They don't care about breaking a contract. That's virtually what it comes down to, isn't it? Turki Al Sheikh will place this fight wherever he chooses to.
But then it comes back to ultimately renegotiating a deal that's already been done. Like I said, we will follow always the terms of our contract. If you say you've got to turn up and have a fight in talkSPORT studio and I sign up to it, I've got to do it. If you then change the terms of that, then that's a discussion, isn't it?
Frank, well, is there a danger then that this fight still could not happen if you can't agree terms?
I mean,
or are we definitely getting the
we
fight
all
still?
have a legal obligation for the fight to take place in the UK. Does that make sense? So we have signed for the fight to take place in the UK. So there is an obligation to stage this fight in the UK. And Anthony Joshua will turn up to fight in the UK. As you know from contracts, we will do everything that is within that contract to do that. I'm not sitting here. I get it's convoluted. I get it's been going on. Every question I get asked is the same thing, and I respond with the same answer for the last month. So for me, I get why people are frustrated about it. And as with all these things, there's so much talking in boxing. Eventually, things get done and they get announced.
But if you phrase it's semantics, it'll end up where Turki Al Sheikh wants it to end. But if you phrase the question to Frank Smith or Eddie Hearn, that you'll do as you're told and you'll jump as high as you're told to jump.
Incorrect.
Eventually they will and have done. But the point is no one wants to hear that sort of language. No one's going to sit there and say, well, I'm just a little pleb that runs around. Right?
No one wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear that sort of language. So they're going to resist that. But
who was he saying was a pleb?
Oh, yeah.
Was he saying Eddie was a pleb? Or was it me?
Neither of you. What I'm saying is the language. If someone says to you, and I'm actually defending you guys, if someone says to you that really and truly, whether it was a caller or whether it's Jim phrasing that way, you guys will do as you're told in the end. He will tell you how much he's prepared to pay, and you'll jump as high as you're told to jump. That's what the question was put to you.
That's pretty much.
You're going to present language saying, well, actually, we have a contract, and what we'll do is renegotiate the contract. You'll just change the location in the contract. And there the semantics will end.
That's virtually what it boils down to. I mean, Frank, actually, Spencer, I'll put this to you. 10 years ago, if somebody had said to you, Fury AJ is going to happen, but it won't happen in the UK, what would you have said?
Yeah, well, you would have said you're crazy because we wouldn't have had Seller and Turki Al Sheikh involved at that stage. They weren't in boxing at that stage, so the fight would have landed nowhere but the UK. It's a British fight for two guys that have carried the heavyweight division.
But is that right? Because
but that's the facts.
Hang on.
Then it wouldn't have happened.
No, I'm saying the fight wouldn't have happened in the US. The fight would have happened in the UK.
No, it would have happened in Saudi.
I think it would have happened wherever it was commercially
viable,
the most effective and viable.
We were sat here 5 years ago when the conversation was being had about Joshua fighting Fury 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
And Fury was laying down the law about when he was going to fight him, and if he didn't sign on this date, he was going to, he was going to pull it away from him. That was not in this country. That fight was in Saudi, and that was prior to Seller and Turkey coming into the space. But they were putting fights on Saudi because Eddie was over there telling everyone how wonderful Saudi was.
Well, but the question that Jim asked me was, would you have been blown away by the fact that this fight is landing in the US 10 years ago? And the answer would be
not in the UK.
Not in the UK. That's the question Jim was answering me, and that's my answer would have been, of course, you would have thought it was
I think
delusional.
to a degree, Frank, with all due respect, and you went around, I wouldn't have thought 10 years ago, but...
I was, unfortunate. I know I look young, but...
But the fact is, if there's a blame game to be had here, if blame should be apportioned in certain directions, the promoter should take some of it for not having got the fight on.
We did. You do remember
all these years ago
the fight, and then the arbitration kicked in with Deontay Wilder. So there was a time where the fight was signed, and it was out of, even in all respect, Fury's control. So we signed the fight. I think that was 2021. It was signed,
and that was with the rematch clause with Deontay Wilder that they had in existence.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
It was signed at that point. So it's not like it's never been signed. Don't get me wrong. Things have come out, out of everyone's control. And arbitration, we can't control that.
But for a long time, Eddie and Frank didn't want to do business with each other. Yeah. And now that landscape has changed.
But
so much
proves,
so,
though, that
it's
we
needed somebody else to come in and get it on.
But that proves, though, 5 years ago, even when we didn't have a relationship, we still had signed for the fight.
But who was putting the money up for that? It wasn't you guys. It was.
No,
it wasn't Rakan. It was who was the other fellow that was involved with Sell at the time?
Skill Challenge.
Yes, Skill Challenge.
But we contracted together as parties, not with Skill Challenge. We contracted between us. I think it was Top Rank, Queensbury. We all came together at that point. So I do disagree with that it wouldn't have happened. Has it made it easier? Yes, of course. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
Yeah. Okay. Frank, while you're with us, before you head off to the presser for George Liddard, Dario Morello, many more things to get into before you leave us. Stay with us. We're live in talkSPORT.
Mo's phoned us up, Liverpool fan. Right, Mo?
100% coward. Where you been?
Kenny!
How are you, Mo? Where you been?
Where you
I've
been?
here. Hey! I've been busy.
Oh, of course you have. Where you been? What you been up to?
It's like you, Jimmy G. Where have you been? You've not been here for a while, and neither has Candy. I mean, Candy's been trying to get his hair like growing, but it's looking quite smart, Candy.
Yeah, it's come back, mate. Back. The hair is back. Everything's...
Are you going to be talking guff this season, Mo?
What are you doing this season, Mo?
Listen to that. Look, I've been listening to talkSPORT all day, and obviously been hearing the ex-pundits. I mean, what is this about Arsenal going to dominate? What is Martin Keown on? What is going on? They just beat a poor City side yesterday. It was only a friendly. I mean, what's going on? Arsenal not going to dominate. There's only one team who's going to dominate this league, and that is the boys. The best team on the planet, Candy and Jimmy J. The best team on the planet. You saw them playing yesterday. Wow. You know what, Candy? I can't wait to this league to start. I am telling you, we're going to win the quad, Candy. Quad, Candy.
There it is. There it is.
The quad.
The quad's back out.
Quad back.
Listen, well, come on. Look. Why you got music? Why are you putting laughter track on, right? Look, let's be honest here, right?
No, mate, listen, let's talk about your mob, right?
You shut up, yeah?
Let's talk about your mob.
You shut up, Candy. You shut up. You can't talk. No.
Mate, what's going on at Liverpool? What's going on, mate? What's happening at your place?
Candy, look. Candy, we're the best team on the planet.
You're not, though, are you, mate?
It's Thursday lunchtime. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver alongside us, Matchroom's Chief Executive Frank Smith, as we continue to talk about events in the world of boxing, of course, more specifically. AJ, Tyson Fury, and where this fight may or may not happen. Will it be in the UK? Will it be in the US? The sensible money at the moment suggests it's going to be at Madison Square Garden, New York. There's Smithy from Cardiff. Frank, what's your take on this? Afternoon, guys. Great show as usual. Thank you, Smithy. The reason why this fight won't happen in the UK is because of two greedy, money-hungry fighters, and that is the bottom line. They both get generational wealth, but they owe it to British fight fans to fight in the UK.
I mean, I disagree because as we sit here and what we're getting stick for now is saying that we signed for the fight to take place in the UK. You know, so I can't speak on Tyson Fury's behalf, but as far as we sit here with Anthony Joshua, he signed for the fight to happen in the UK, and then the terms are on the basis of it being in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Smithy gets a bit cheeky at the end. P.S. All they know of AJ in America is when Andy Ruiz flattened him.
I think that's or when he flattened Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Or the whole career he's built in, you know, as a unified world champion. But
I think Jake Paul and the Netflix audience that he built out there, that was definitely his biggest audience. For sure.
Now the dust has settled on AJ Prenga, Simon, you had one or two things to say about it. At the time, you were a bit suspicious about it, weren't you? About the nature of it. AJ down in the first round.
And I was wrong.
Prenga.
I didn't like the look of the fight.
Out of there
I certainly didn't think it was part of Anthony Joshua's plan to get dropped.
Yeah.
And then come back and win the fight as if he's been watching Apollo Creed. I didn't think that was the underlying sentiment. I was being slightly ambiguous and tongue-in-cheek about the nature of what Prenga might have been told in his corner, along the same lines as what Paulie Malignaggi was alluding to. But I think when you're wrong and you've got new information and you look at what the corner have said to him and you've seen that stuff and you talk to trainers like Adam Booth that talk to you about what they would have done in that situation if they were Prenga's trainer, you reverse out of your situation and go, you know what, maybe that wasn't the right thing that I said there.
And I think,
big deal, who cares what I say anyway?
Frank's boss, Eddie Hearn's dad, Barry Hearn, slapped you about a bit for that, and then you decided to have a ping back at Barry.
Obviously, Barry is getting a bit decrepit, so I allow him to have a senior moment. And make his observations that way. But also, Frank's obviously busy coming back from running errands, so he has opinion too. But I also think that they are right. When I first looked at the fight, Spence and Paul, and obviously Richard, my first reaction after the first round was not surprised, as Richard wasn't. I wasn't surprised by what was happening to Anthony. And then I saw the second round, and I saw Prenga come out and do the polar opposite of what he had done in the first round that got all the success. And it didn't make sense to him, and he didn't seem to be throwing anything. So my first reaction was, I don't like the look of this. I don't like the smell of this.
So you went off and won. Frank, I think you
backpedaled.
I think you described Simon calling Barry Hearn decrepit as somewhat classless.
Yeah.
Is that right? You still think that?
But he also calls. This is one thing with you, Simon, because you're very intelligent. You're much more intelligent than me. But sometimes you go to a level.
I'm joking.
No, it's fine. But you go to a level of saying things like you call me a T-boy every time, which I don't care. I couldn't care. But when you say decrepit, sometimes I think you're very smart, and sometimes you go to that personal level where I think, what is he going on about?
Oh, okay.
And I also hadn't seen that bit where you actually said you.
So my view is that. Most of the time, what you do with you guys is you elevate, because you personalise everything. You do ad hominems, you play the man, you run around telling people that they're failed football club owners and bankrupts, and then you get it back and you don't like it and you cry.
I'm not crying. No, I'm just saying. I couldn't care.
I use the T-boy analogy because I said at the time, I'll take some parody from the person that runs a business, but I won't take it from his T-boy. And it's stuck, and I think it's funny, and you don't.
I think it's hilarious. I don't care about anything.
But when Barry, and I've known Barry for 26 years, and I don't think that we're particularly great mates, and we dealt with one another in football, and there were a few things that go back in the past. But when someone decides that they're going to have a little go at me and be facetious and arsehole clever on radio and start calling me a little boy that should get back in my pram, I think I've got the ability to go to the other end of the scale. So if you want to call me a baby, I'll call you an old man, and it's all fair game as far as I'm concerned. Because I get it, I take it, and I get on with it, and I get all the observations that you guys make, and the personalisation and the ad hominems, and I give it back.
It's only ever in response. So I've never come out and said without having it reacting to something. I've never gone. That's Simon Jordan.
You did. You did back in the day. You followed your boss because
I don't follow him. One thing about me is I don't follow Eddie.
Well, you did.
I don't.
Well, you did because you don't know anything about my background, and you took a phrase
I called you a DJ, didn't I?
You called me a DJ and a failed football club owner. You know nothing about my background besides.
Well,
what
I
you
mean,
think you
it
know.
wasn't a success, the football club.
You don't know what successes I did or didn't have.
No, but it wasn't.
You define moments by what you think you understand. So the point in all this is, because they're trying to stir up a little bit of trouble.
But it's fun.
Is that your boss called me Rick with a P in front of it and sent me a text along those lines, which he didn't much
That's
like.
very good, though.
Yeah, you
I like that, yeah.
And so he got told by me, because he doesn't mention that, grow up. You give it out, you get it back. I get it from you, and I take it back, and I give it back to you. What you guys aren't used to is because you think you can shut people down, because you think you're in control of situations, is when someone gives it back to you, you don't like it.
No, but
you get away with murder.
No, but what I'll say is when you don't say anything, and when I agree
and I
with
always retract when I'm wrong.
Yeah, I respect
Do you not
that.
think Decrepit was going too far?
Do you think calling someone a baby and get back in his pram like a little boy is going too far?
Well,
I think
there's an element of humour in that.
And so is there in mine, because he's not decrepit. If anything, that Barry Hearn is not. And by the way, he's a big boy. And I think Eddie Hearn going all Harold Shand on me, which is, who's having a go at me, is a bit nonsense. You're a big boy. You dish it out. You call Frank Warren granddad. You take the piss out of every promoter. You talk about Bob Arum. So when you get some back, you get all offended about it. Grow up. I take it. I give it back. I don't complain about it. I fight fire with fire. And most of the time, I rise above their silly nonsense.
No, but you start the fire a lot of the time.
Not true.
You do.
I take observations and I put them through a prism,
and then you say things, and then you say people will react to you, and it's back and forth. But that's the media these days. Like, that's the reality. People like
I stand an argument.
No, people see clips, and then but you do go to that personal level.
No, I don't. I fight.
It seems to me that's a boxing industry, Frank.
Yeah, no, but that's fine. I don't take anything too personally. I laugh at everything. When he calls me an errand boy, I posted on a boat in the south of France last week, and I thought it was funny. I play into it. I don't care. But what I'm saying is, for someone very intelligent like yourself, I'm saying you're much more intelligent than me, Simon.
It's not about intelligence.
No, but it is. But you sometimes dip to a level.
No, I don't. In this instance, I personally don't think that is anything other than a bit of humour, because the last thing that Barry Hearn is decrepit, and the last thing he's doing is having.
So you're taking it back?
Not taking anything.
You're saying he's not decrepit?
I don't think I'm a child either, and I belong in a pram. So I don't think Barry will take that back. I think it's a conversation.
That upset by it.
He
I wouldn't have thought so. He couldn't care less.
He's going to bash me up, apparently, according to his son.
He's going to bash you up?
Yeah, if he saw me.
I mean, that's a big fight.
Oh, well.
How much do you want?
I'll bring my Zimmer frame.
There we go. Forget AJ Fury. Jordan Barry Hearn. We pay
sponsored by Help the Aged.
We pay for the front row ticket for that.
Absolutely, Jim.
Frank, as always.
One-way transactions.
Great having you in here today. Saturday night. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to the boxing. What we're going to see with George Liddard at the Copper Bomb. Liddard Morel, what we're going to see?
Devastating knockout from George Liddard.
Yeah.
Great undercard, top to bottom. Don't miss it.
And huge support from West Ham fans and others.
100%.
Looking forward to that one. And it's live in DAZN. And it's 12:30.
You finished ninth. Yep. You come on talkSPORT and said that Chelsea are going to win the league. Yep. Who's the idiot?
We've got a manager that knows how to win a league.
No. Who's the idiot?
Won the Bundesliga.
I don't care. Who's the idiot?
What's the Spursy one? What's the Spursy ever won?
They finished 10th. Sorry.
10th.
Correction.
I know.
You finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
No, you finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
All right? And you come on talkSPORT and said that you're going to win the league.
You'll take our...
I don't think I'm an idiot in saying that Spurs can finish in the top 4 if we sign for Savinho and Marmoush.
You'll take our place.
So,
Roberto De Spursy.
There's only one mug here, and it's you.
Roberto De Spursy, he'll take 10th, mate. That's a good season for you lot. Mate, you'll take that. Jay.
Don't
100%.
Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me.
Jay, 100% you take 10th. I'll give you 10th now. With 10 games to go 10th. So you've not got to sweat like you did last season. Sweating over the last couple of games. Are we going to go down? Oh, no. We go, oh, no, we'll go down.
Mate, you finished 10th.
Yeah, I know we did.
You literally finished 10th.
Yeah, but we've got a manager that knows how to win.
That's almost like you spent £1 billion on a football team.
Yeah,
and finished 10th.
Another billion.
Right, who's more embarrassing?
And we're going to win it.
Who's more embarrassing?
Do you know what we should do? We should go for Savinho and Marmoush. Then we'll definitely win it. Could put that in the Todd.
Keep.
What do you mean? Don't start getting.
No.
Don't.
I really want to swear at you, but I'm not going to. Right?
Don't, Jay. Take. I'll give you. Okay, here we go. 10th, yes or no? Yes or no? Jay, yes or no? Take 10th. He's going to take 10th. He's wrong there. You got to take 10th.
The 150th anniversary test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army.
Now then, thanks to Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army, you could be at the MCG watching England-Australia at the 150th anniversary test match. We're talking 5-day match tickets, 7 nights hotel, an exclusive pre-match function with cricket legends, a day trip to the Great Ocean Road, and return flights and spending money included. Head to talksportswin.com right now. You can enter for full terms and conditions. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. We are live in TalkSport talking boxing as we do this Thursday lunchtime. We're going to be joined by Dalton Smith very shortly. He takes on 2 times former world champion Alberto Puello at Sheffield's Utility Arena on the 24th of October. In that same month, we are set to see Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley face off again after Wardley activated his rematch clause following their first fight in June this year. Dubois beat Wardley by a unanimous decision after 12 rounds and took the WBO heavyweight world title. All 3 judges scored the fight in Daniel Dubois' favour. So what now? Are they in fight camp? Have the preparations begun in earnest? trainer of Daniel Dubois is Don Charles, and Don joins us live in the show. Don, good afternoon to you. Are you now back in fight camp?
Good afternoon, Jim. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on again. Can I correct something in your introduction? You said that Daniel Dubois beat Fabio Wood by unanimous decision. It was actually by way of a stoppage, TKO.
Of course. Yep. It was TKO. So you're back in fight camp again?
We are indeed.
Yep. And how's your man? How is Daniel feeling about it?
Yeah, Daniel's good. Daniel's a consummate professional. He's went away shortly after the fight. He went away for a little bit of a break, and he came back and we resumed training.
Don, was you surprised that Fabio Wardley reactivated the rematch clause and went straight back into this fight after the brutality of that last fight? And he was on the end of a lot of heavy punishment. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not actually, because again, there's boxing and there's the boxing business. From when I look at it, why he would activate that rematch clause is there for a reason. Obviously, from observation point of view, from everybody, the damages he sustained would suggest that it might be a bit premature to go straight back in. But again, I know they're not foolish in the sense that they would have got medical clearance to check all his medicals before he could. I'm sure he's got it all clear, hence why he feels like he's got to activate his rematch clause. Otherwise, if you miss that window, let's say hypothetically speaking, he was to not take up the rematch clause or exercise or activate it. There's so many people waiting in line to take that position. And if Fabio didn't activate that rematch clause, it could take up to 2 years of him winning to get back to having that position. So that's one of the reasons he would take a chance and activate it based on the conditions that he's medically fit to go.
Yeah, you have to respect that Fabio's actually jumped straight back on the saddle and he's going straight back into that rematch. What are you expecting from him in this fight, Dom? What are you expecting that he brings differently? Because we know he's dangerous, he's heavy-handed, but is there anything else that he can change to put up a better fight against Dubois?
Well, that's up to them. Obviously, he would take confidence in the sense that he dropped my guy twice. Heavy knockdowns in first 15 seconds of the fight, and then again he repeated it again in the third round. So, if roles was reversed and we were the ones who dropped him and he went on to win, we would draw confidence from that you've put this guy down. If you can put him down, means you'll do it again. That's what our mindset will be, and I'm sure that's what him and his team. That's what their mindset will be.
How would you describe Daniel's journey? Would you say, Don? How would you describe the growth in Daniel from the beginning and the early beginnings to where he's got himself to now?
Yeah, well, Jim, it's when we look back, as you know, I've only just been working with Daniel for the past. It's actually the third year that we've been together. Even prior to joining forces with myself, he'd already achieved. He was the WBA regular champion, which is a massive thing for a kid his age, because he turned professional at the age of, I believe, 19, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And for what he's achieved to date, is remarkable. He's already a three-time world champion, if you include the WBA regular. And I think that should be included because a lot of fighters, professional fighters, would love to have won that regular title, and a lot of them who've been around for many years have not won that regular title. So it's a great achievement. I think what he's done to date, Daniel, is amazing.
Don, that journey started 3 years ago, as you say, and that was the first fight. The first fight with Alexander Usyk out in Poland. We was out there for that one. The controversy surrounding that, was it a low blow? Was it not a low blow? We know he's developed as a fighter, but talk to us about the mentality of Daniel Dubois and how he's developed mentally as a fighter.
Well, even when we've lost, it's an experience, okay? And again, depending on how you lose, it's never good to lose. But when you do, we look at it. Why did we lose? How did we lose? And we learn from it. So he's gotten every experience there is to, or he's experienced everything there is to experience in a boxing ring, okay? He's been stopped. He's been knocked out. He's come back and he's won. And, he's won many, many fights that he's not supposed to win. So, he's gotten so much experience. And he's only 28 years old. He's 29 in his next birthday. It's remarkable. When I look back at it, it is really remarkable.
Don, you will be looking at a fight, I suspect. You'll be zeroing in on the rematch with Fabio Wardley, but you'll be looking further down the line because there's an opportunity for Daniel Dubois to preside. Could be his time to preside over the heavyweight division. There's a small matter of Moses Atoma fighting next week against Filip Hrgović and a world title there. When you look across the heavyweight landscape, do you anticipate a fight with Moses Atoma anytime soon between your man and him? And how do you see something like that playing out? Because you were very, very admiring of Moses Atoma, slightly hesitant when we talked about him, about how he would get on against Daniel before you went back into Daniel's camp. How do you see that fight playing out, Don? And how do you see the future of those two guys coming together anytime soon?
Well, by Moses winning, it all starts with Moses winning his next fight against Hrgović. And provided we're successful in coming through our rematch with Fabio, it's inevitable that they will meet. They both happen to sign to Frank Warren. It promotes both fighters. So it's inevitable. Like I said, we can only take care of our side and keep focused and remain unbeaten. We have to win our next fight. And like I said, Moses has to win.
Do you think Moses will beat Hrgović?
Yes, I do. I really do. It's going to be. He's going to experience some turbulence if he was flying, and if he was going by sea, there'll be some rough waters he has to come through in order to get his victory. This will really show us a lot about Moses Atoma. Everybody, including myself, he's one of the. They always say he's the future of the heavyweight boxing. Yes, I'm in agreement with that. Also, Daniel Dubois is the future of heavyweight boxing because he's already achieved. He's already crossed that line. He's proven, it's tried and it's tested. Okay? But Moses, like I said, I believe he will be victorious against Hrgović. I believe he will be too sharp and too accurate for Hrgović.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with Frank Warren actually a couple of weeks ago, Don, about the potential of if Moses Atoma comes through his fight and Daniel Dubois comes through his fight. He said it could happen as early as 2027. It's not about keeping these guys apart. It's now about giving the best versus the best and giving the public what they want. And we could see that, in the second half of 27.
Well, that's the beauty of boxing as we have it at the moment. Currently, everybody's fighting everybody. And gone are the days where these people are kept apart, so they go past just sell by day. So the boxing fans, which we're all boxing fans. I'm a boxing fan as well as I'm in the industry, but I'm also a boxing fan. So it's really refreshing that these fighters are fighting at their peak. Like I said, provided we are victorious against Fabio, which I 100% believe Daniel will defend his title successfully, and provided Atoma comes through against Hrgović, then, like I said, it's inevitable that they will meet.
Don, good to speak to you again. Thanks so much for joining us. Regards to Daniel when you see him next.
And now I'm at the gym. I've literally sneaked off to do this call. So thank you for having me on. I'll send your regards to him.
Thank you so much. Don Charles, Daniel Dubois trainer with us live. Stay with us. We're live on talkSPORT. Selco Builders Warehouse, where the trade goes.
So this summer has gone from bad to worse for Villa, Unai Emery, Morgan Rogers and Yuri Tielemans already gone, of course. And now it looks like Konza, that's the big one, is on his way to the Arsenal. Let's bring in another Gabby, who must be delighted. Gabby the Gunner, who has called us in 03717 22 3344. Gabby, a very good morning.
Dry your eyes, Gab. I know it's hard to take, but Conce has made his mind up. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Dry your eyes, Gab. I know you want to make Conce see how much his pain hurts, but you've got to walk away now. It's over. Sorry, Gab. And Alan, welcome back, sir.
Thanks,
I'm
mate.
so pleased you've got a fit bill of health.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
No, I'm good, Gabby. Thank you very much, mate. I was missing this, so I'm back.
Missing you.
He's not
The
missed
nation
you,
was
mate.
Missing you, Alan.
He ain't missed you, Gabby.
Oh, he always misses me. It's you he doesn't miss, Gab.
What,
Come on,
can
bruv.
I ask you a
We're both
question,
Gab in
though?
Essex.
You
Go
know,
on, mate.
spending what you spent again this summer, is the minimum Champions League and Premier League for Arsenal?
Oh, Gab, listen, you've got always got. He'd make a
I'm
great
asking
politician, wouldn't he, Alan? He really would make
I'm
a
asking
great
you.
politician.
Are you closer to winning the Champions League with these signings?
I still think we're short of one exceptional striker. I think Osimhen, Alvarez, that's kind of the missing link. It could be enough with Solis and with the guys we've got.
What the hell is going on? This is literally Premier League football drama at its absolute best.
Oh
my Gabrielle!
I
can't watch this.
He's definitely saw it, man.
Messi! No! Guys! Come on! Get in it!
What was that?
You see this crap every single game in the Premier League!
Oh, this is...
No goal.
That
was embarrassing.
Now, huge night of World Championship boxing is live in the zone this Saturday. Rolly Romero defends his WBA welterweight world title against Teofimo Lopez. And then next Saturday, can Moses become Britain's youngest heavyweight world champion in history as he faces this toughest opponent yet, Filip Hrgović, for the vacant IBF heavyweight world title. Join DAZN Ultimate for 185 plus fight nights and a minimum of 12 pay-per-views every year, including Moses Hrgović, Rolly Romero against Teofimo Lopez, and Ryan Garcia Conor Benn, all included at no extra cost. All good fights, all of them. Here's another. Dalton Smith takes on two times former world champion Alberto Puello at Sheffield's Utilita Arena on the 24th of October. The two went head-to-head at a press conference yesterday. Dalton, remember, unbeaten. He's making his first defence of his title that he won in January when he stopped Subriel Matias in New York. Spencer and Simon alongside me. I'm delighted that Dalton Smith joins us live on the show. Dalton, good afternoon to you. How are preparations going for this?
Good afternoon. How are all you boys? Preparation's going good.
Yeah, it's not an easy first offence, this one, against Alberto Puello. Very tough guy. He lost to Mateus on a split decision in a cracking fight, actually. He showed a lot of character in that one. There could be a lot easier first offences, Dalton, than this one, and you just never seem to choose that easy route, do you?
Look, I'm a real fighter, Spencer. And look, of course, it's no easy task, but, you know, the fight, I got written off for the fight for the world title. You know, people was like, oh, this is too much. And I proved myself there. And this is just another opportunity for me to do that. And, you know, I'm a real fighter. And there's no easy fights at the highest level in boxing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, mate. You know, you've done it the old school way, British, Commonwealth, European, going in for the world title as well, as maybe the underdog against Mateus, ripped him to pieces in 5 rounds. Now the world's your oyster. And you're in a division that's stacked with talent, aren't you? Obviously, Shakur Stevenson, Gary Russell. The IBF is actually vacant, you know, and you've got your interim champion, Pitbull Cruz. There's a lot of talent there, mate. So there's a lot of dance partners for you.
Plenty of dance partners, but you know, you can't overlook any fight. This is a tough test in front of me first in October, and you know, I need to put a clinical performance on, which I know I will do.
I mean, you wrote the headlines in a big way, Dalton, stopping Mateus in New York. Do you look back in that much at a time like this, or is it only looking forward, ahead to the next one?
Yeah, I said before, you know, that's old news now. As much as it's nice talking about it, you know, that was in January. I need to get another big win and keep my name up there, you know, because boxing is, you enjoy it for a week and there's been another big fight. So that's forgot about, you know, so I'm just excited to be back in my hometown. It's a big fight. You know, I'm expecting a sellout at the arena. So, you know, I'm just excited for it.
How did it, or did it change you as a fighter, like winning that title? Because when you're on your way up, you know, you're always, every time you fight for that title, whether it's British, Commonwealth, European or world, you're always questioning yourself, like, am I good enough? You know, I know the self-belief is obviously there, but you do question yourself on that one. Now you are world champion. Has that changed you in any way?
No, it's just, I think the pressures we put on ourselves. You know, if I never won a world title, I'd have felt like I'd have underachieved. So, you know, I always knew I'd have become a world champion. It's never certain, but, you know, once you've got that title, you know, it's the pressure's off there. And, you know, I want to go and win more world titles. But has my life changed? No, it's just people are a bit nicer to you.
And so they should be, Dalton. Simon, this guy can fight, can he? He's won all 19 of his professional fights, 14 inside the distance.
That's why he's world champion. And deservedly so, and fought a world champion that a lot of people would have avoided. So as he says, he's a proper fighter. When you talk about the other belts, everyone will keep on dragging you back into this conversation about Adam Azim, and that's a fight that can happen at some point, I suspect. If Adam Azim wins a world title, then you two boys can really monetize that and make it a battle between two Brits fighting for various amount of belts and get paid some serious money, because the opportunity for you now is not just to be a world champion, it's to get proper money into your life and to build a future for yourself and generational wealth for yourself and your family. But when you look at the landscape, where are you going? You're not going to look past the fight that you've got coming up. You'll not look past that. I know that. And the stock responsibility, I won't look past that. You talked a moment ago about other belts. Where in your mind do you want to go? Do you want to go after Russell? Do you want to go after Shakur Stevenson? What do you envisage as your next port of call once you've taken care of business against this fighter, Dalton?
Like you said, Simon, boxing's a business, and as much as it's nice winning the titles, we're doing this to financially have a better life and get paid. And boxing is a business, and you've got to go through your mandatories. Like for me, Alberto Puello is a tougher fight than Adam Azim. But commercially wise, business wise, Adam Azim is a bigger fight. Yep. And, you know, that's why I need to stay on it. I can't overlook this fight. I've got to put a big performance. But then, you know, whatever business sense makes... whatever makes sense, win more world titles. If I want Adam to go and get a world title, because then business-wise, that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Absolutely. And also the WBO title, Shakur Stevenson, widely considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He has a big audience. He's got a global audience, but a big audience over in America as well. That's a big money fight for you.
Massive. And, you know, all respect to Shakur. You know, I've known him from the amateurs. You know, we've said us back and forth, and he's always praised me. He's always given me respect, and I'll always do that for him. He's one hell of a fighter, but if we can get a fight made, of course, I'm grabbing it with both hands, and I've got the big belief I'm going to beat him. So, that if that's a fight for me, what rolls back the Ricky Hatton Mayweather days. I used to watch them, and you want that big American name. So for me, getting that over here or in Vegas, that'd be a dream come true.
Dalton, terrific. Good luck when it comes along. Dalton's fighting Alberto Puello in Sheffield, October the 24th. Give me a name, you two. Romero against Lopez in Vegas Saturday night. Who wins it?
Both been a little bit inactive. Rolly Romero obviously coming off the good win over Ryan Garcia, but that was some 14, 16 months ago, something like that, I think it was. Teofimo Lopez, for me, is the better fighter, but mentally maybe the weaker fighter of the two, and it depends what Lopez turns up. I just think that Teofimo Lopez may just have enough to get it over the line against Rolly Romero, who, a lot of people feel that he's going to win the fight, but I think Lopez on his day is the better fighter.
You go with that, Simon?
Yes. We said everyone to Sean Martin with BetMGM, didn't we? The fact is that Lopez is a world-class operator. Yes, he got shown up a little bit in Shakur Stevenson, but Shakur Stevenson is elite. The previous fight against Arnold Barbosa, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
So we bring him into 147. If he carries the power up there, Lopez for me all day.
Mm-hmm. Knockout from both of you this lunchtime. It's been terrific. Spencer, thank you.
Great to be back, Jim. Thank you.
A unanimous decision.
A unanimous decision.
Just like Daniel Dubois' victory over Fabio Baldley.
There you go. Couldn't resist it, could he? It's 1 o'clock.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.